Everybody feeling good? Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm going to do some formal stuff, and then we'll get into all of your agenda items and all of that stuff. So just bear with us for a bit. Go ahead and call the Board of Appeals meeting on 4/17/2023 to order. How's everybody doing? I'll wait till I get the thumbs up. You have to wait. Can you hear me all online? I can see Phil give me a thumbs up. Barb, how you doing, Barb?
Doing good. The heat's now on at the cottage and water is also on.
I love it. Very good.
It's a carryover from the weekend.
Yeah. Corey, you doing well? Are you actually in San Francisco, or that's just what you chose today?
No, that's just the background I get to choose.
I love it, man.
It's my messy background, my house.
It looks great, man. Thanks for all for being here. Looks like we do have a quorum, but we still should do an official roll call, if that's okay with everybody. So we get the chair here, Tommy here. I know our vice chair is not going to be with us today, so I'll skip him. I got Barb Dorf here virtually. Stephen, I'm going to brutalize people's last names. Chart. He's not here? Okay, not yet. Corey, I'm not B. Corey B.
It's easy, bow, gun, shoots.
We've done this before. See, remember I told you how bad I was at that last names? Bogan Shoots
There we go.
here and Joshua Cook.
Don't bother.
Cook. Dang it. Okay, I'm just going to give up on all of that. All right, so we do have enough for a quorum to move forward. We're all in agreement with that. We'll see if Stephen comes on board. Corey, are you going to be in? We do have 3, so you don't need to, but what's that?
You should still fill any vacancy regardless of whether, any vacancy to get you up to 5.
Okay, you're in, Corey. You have no choice. You're in, buddy.
Put me in, coach, I'm ready.
All right, so we got 4, which is still enough. So let's get into kind of a couple different things. Before we do, just want to kind of read this. We've been asking for like a general overview for the public and the record of kind of who we are, what our goals are, what we're trying to do, because a lot of people come in contextually and not have an understanding of kind of what we're trying to do. So I'm going to read this through because it's something we've been working with legal to see how it goes. So thank you. The Zoning and Planning Board of Appeals hears and acts on appeals for variances from city zoning code requirements. The members of the board are appointed, and the board acts as a quasi-judicial body during these appeals, which means the appeals are presented like a case is presented in court. And the board acts as the judge and determines whether to grant the appeal by majority vote. For each item, we will hear from the appellant, or the applicant, and staff, John, as well as any additional witnesses where appropriate. So if you're coming up to have your case be presented, and there are other people as part of your case, you can bring them up as well as witnesses. If they're not needed, you don't need to bring them up. If you are the appellant for an item on tonight's agenda, please come take a seat at the table when your item's called. If you're virtual, obviously you can't come and take a seat, so we will just call upon you virtually. And then we'll swear everybody in, because again, quasi-judicial, so we'll ask for everybody to take a small oath about testimony, that it's accurate, and we'll go through all of that. So there's a bit of formality with this board because it is quasi-judicial. And we, as a team in transparency, have been working with legal to work on those behaviors to get better. We've been a bit loose in the past, and so we want to get better in those areas. So if we're asking lots of questions about, hey, did we do that right? Or hey, are we doing this correctly? It's because we're also trying to get better as a board. So work with us as well, okay? Any questions or comments on any of that? Doing good so far?
So far, so good.
Great. So we're going to jump into a couple agenda items, and then we'll get into the actual cases, okay? So first things first, we need to get an approval of the agenda for tonight. Anybody have any conflicts, or not conflicts, any issues with the agenda? Anything they need to make an adjustment on? John, yes, go ahead.
We do have one. We're asking that item 2, appeal 23-04, yes?
We can actually leave it.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Never mind.
All good.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments on the agenda? If not, I'll take it a vote for approval.
Move to approve.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion to approve and second. All those in favor of approving the agenda item C for the agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. All right, next thing, minutes. Any issues or needings of approval for the minutes from March 20th for last month's meeting? If not, a motion to approve those minutes would be in order.
I still can't seem to find the minutes from the meeting, but.
Motion to approve the minutes from last one.
Okay,
Second,
we'll talk about that later, if that's okay. Don't lose sight of that. Okay, so I have a motion to approve by Corey, a second by Barb. Any other discussion around the minutes besides yours? Okay, approve the minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. All right. There is nothing else except for now regular business, which we're going to get to the cases. We'll call you up in order. Again, if you're called up, feel free to bring up yourself, who is the person that is making the case. If there's any additional testimony needed from anybody else that is with you, bring them up as well. But you don't need to bring the whole group up if they're not going to testify. Just come up here. We'll get some names, some information. We'll go through some formalities, and then we'll get into the discussion. And we'll walk through a bit of all of that as well. First item of business, though, is exceptional circumstance discussion with city legal staff. So, hi, you'd like to discuss some exceptional circumstance discussion things.
Yes, Logan's driving the bus tonight.
Yep. So I'll just kind of jump right into it. Exceptional circumstances is one of the factors that we would consider, the board would consider for hearing these appeals. The term exceptional circumstances is not statutorily defined, so it's often seen to be circumstances that are unique to a specific property and not generally properties in the area as a whole. It's also something that the property owner did not create himself or themselves. Just want to make sure, am I being heard by everybody online as well?
Could speak just a little bit louder.
Sure.
I'm gonna move to the middle of the
Sure.
room, too.
I would agree, it's a little bit difficult.
He's going to move to the middle to see if it's a bit better from the mic. Where are the microphones, by the way?
I think it's that round thing.
So I'm going to sit over here, hopefully that's better. If it's not, please let me know. That's why I wanted to stop to make sure that everybody could understand and hear me. So is this better?
Yes, it's good.
Okay. So as I was saying, exceptional circumstances is not statutorily defined, but it's often seen as circumstances that are unique to a specific parcel or property. It's also something that the property owner did not create themselves, so we don't consider that an exceptional circumstance. So conditions that are personal to the property owner's own personal situation is not something that we're considering. And it's also something that's not found on the existing properties surrounding it.
Could I clarify a point, Logan?
Sure, yes.
So when you're saying not conditions related to the property owner's personal situation, that many times we get in our appeals that I have teenage children, I need more room to park cars. So therefore, that's why I need this driveway expansion. Is that would be related to the personal situation?
Hypothetically, in that scenario, if it's just because they need more parking because of their own circumstances, that is not an exceptional circumstance. It's not tied to anything that's related to the property. There certainly could be an exceptional circumstance that would fit that scenario, but based on your fact pattern alone, that would not be an exceptional circumstance.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And so to move into another point of what maybe might fall into an exceptional circumstance, unusual topography or natural conditions that exist in the land. Think of slope, think of the condition of the soils, if it's unique to that particular property, things of that nature. And so I'll leave you ultimately what it boils down to is whether the property owner is deprived of their rights entirely based on the condition of the property. So that's kind of we want to take into just the factors of the property itself when we're thinking about exceptional circumstances. And like I said, this is just one of the factors that we consider, but just highlighting this one specifically, these are what we want to focus on is just the physical characteristics of the property.
may I ask you to peel out a little bit? So the bullet point 2 on the third bullet point, but the second one, conditions do not generally exist on surrounding properties. Can you kind of pull that out a little bit and explain that?
Sure, yeah. So I think what this is trying to get at is that if all the properties are experiencing the same type of condition, then it's no longer exceptional to just one property. That's just the way that area is. If we all have soil, then we can't really blame the soil as our exceptional circumstance.
Got it.
If there's something very unique about the soil that's specific to your property, then that could be different.
So everybody around me has soil X, and I happen to have soil Y, and that soil Y is creating a condition that makes whatever I want to do difficult.
Yep.
That's an exceptional circumstance.
If everybody else has mollisol soils and you have vertisol soils, and that's terrible for building, then yeah, you probably have an exceptional circumstance for that.
I was like, X and Y, man. You said verisol, solisol.
Vertisol and
I
mollisol,
love
yep.
it, man. You're so
Yep.
much smarter than me. I love it. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was a good example. I don't have the jargon, but I was just gonna say, if you remember a few meetings ago, we had all the properties in the area, there was like all the backyards, there was like a steep slope in the
Yep.
backyard. So that applies to like all those properties, so that's not necessarily a condition that's exceptional for that property, that's all of them.
So for me, if we're not able to go look at properties, okay, and that the information is not being presented, how do we consider that information if we're only seeing that individual's property being the thing that's being presented? For example, in that case, I have a giant slope, right? And if we're not being presented with information that the entire street or the entire, 1 mile thing has that same thing, are we supposed to ask that question? And where do we get that information?
It's appropriate to, if you don't mind, it's appropriate to ask staff that question. I believe in that particular instance, John was able to bring up like a topography map, and so we were able to kind of see that that was similar on surrounding properties. In some cases, we might not have the information in front of us or at our fingertips to be able to do that. I think we talked about this way back when we most recently did the quasi-judicial training, but if there are circumstances where the only way to really figure out what's going on a property is to go there, then the board is entitled to do that. We just have to notice it as a public meeting and all go at the same time.
Field trip.
Exactly.
Can we rent a bus?
That
We'll
sounds
figure out the behind-the-scenes
expensive.
part.
Okay, great. Anybody question, because again, this is one of 5 factors. I missed last meeting, so I'm a little, but 5 factors that we're considering, right?
Yep.
In terms of what we're looking for, right? And this is one that we're kind of peeling out to look at.
Yeah.
Because the idea of does not stop them from the general use of the property is a different bucket as well, that kind of maybe rubs into that one as well, right?
Yep. I
Okay.
think another point too is how you're going to find out some of this information is that we are relying on the applicant to provide some of this information as well in terms of what makes their
case.
request, why they should satisfy the exceptional circumstances. So you may be able to elicit some of that information, either whether all the neighbors are experiencing the same type of slope, or if theirs is unique to their property alone.
Copy.
So you might get some from the applicant as well.
Okay, got it. Does anybody have any more questions about this, or is anything clarified? Corey, is that a hand?
It kind of is, I'm just trying to think through that one, because I'm looking through as far as an exceptional circumstance, so say we have that slope in the back, say it affects 10 property owners. Well, that's 10 property owners out of how many of our total property owners there are in the entire city. For those 10 property owners, that's still exceptional circumstance for those minus 1% or whatever it is. So with that, can we look at it in that context?
So in that scenario, we wouldn't be looking at it any different, because what we're looking at is the surrounding properties and whether or not they have an exceptional circumstances from those that are similarly situated to them.
Just adjacent to it. So we'd only be able to consider those adjacent to them in their same geolocation, basically.
Yeah, we wouldn't be considering properties that are across town, essentially.
One other thing that I would point out, if I can just interject, you see that the bullet point itself is worded as they do not generally exist on surrounding properties, so just as with most of what lawyers will tell you under any circumstances, this isn't necessarily a hard and fast rule. There will be some situations in which like 3 or 4 properties having a slope in the back might be an exceptional circumstance, but most likely that slope's not going to be the only reason. There's going to be other stuff going on. So it's not, I don't want you to think of it as like, oh, well, the 2 neighboring properties have the same conditions, so it's automatically not an exceptional circumstance. That might be true, it might not be. It's going to depend on the totality of what's going on in any given circumstance.
And that's a great point, that totality of the circumstances, kind of pulling that all together too. We're just looking at one factor right now.
Yeah. Right, and that goes back to kind of the stuff we've been saying, just considering all the different things. That's why we have to kind of go through all of those different points. So it's a good reminder on this one, but at the end of the day, we're still here to hear this and make a decision based on majority, hopefully finding all the facts and everything and covering all of those different bases. So this is good. Thank you. I will just point out one more thing, because again, I know that we sit here, we're hearing cases from people, right, who are trying to live in their places, and so I just want to point out bullet point 2, because we run into it a lot, and I know we're all heartfelt, circumstances that are unique to this property that the property owner did not create. And so again, those ones a lot of times where we see where people have already poured concrete or already done work, it's hard for us, it puts us in a difficult position. When the people are presenting their case, it's hard to say no to people, but our goal as a board, as I've learned in the time that I've been on the board, is to look at the property in perpetuity with 6 different owners down the road, not just this one specific owner. We're dealing with zoning code for a city, zoning code for properties, and we're looking for unique situations that a broad zoning code can't take care of for this one individual parcel of land or property. And it's not about the individual using it as much as it is this property and the land. And that's what we're trying to find. Is that just a reminder there? Cool? Any other questions? Thank you. I love this. This is great. This is kind of like bridging that gap with some of that training or discussion stuff.
Yep.
So is this something we can kind of help, move forward and do again?
Yeah, so the plan ultimately is to do each of the 5 elements separately. We might bundle 1 or 2 together if they're shorter ones, but just to make sure we have delved into each one a little bit more deeply than just the really brief overview that you get from the statute or the ordinance.
This is duly beneficial, I think. So not only reminders for us and the ongoing training for us to kind of remember and recall why we're here, but I do think it's good for the public as well, because again, they're getting insight into kind of why these rules and these things are created, so that they can be reminded of like, oh, why we're quasi-judicial, what rules we're using to factor in. So if people decide to watch the YouTube videos and records of these meetings, they're getting a bit of insight into all of it. So more transparency is better, and I think it's great. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to the public for their time as well.
Yes, thank you, public, for that. All right. We've been trying to work on ways to get a bit of discussion going within our meetings for exactly what I said, for us to kind of remember why we're here, but also for the public to kind of hear why this group exists and kind of clear a bit of that up. So thank you for your time. We're going to actually get into the next step, which is actually hearing some cases. So again, I will call up the applicant number. We're going to go through some stuff where we have to declare, hey, I don't have a conflict of interest, or I don't have to recuse myself from voting. We'll swear you in. I'll have to swear John in each individual item as well. Again, just to kind of document that we're all here telling the truth. We're all here to try and get the right information and facts out there, so that, like it said at the beginning, as a judge hearing a case, we can feel that we have all the information to move forward with a approval or denial of the request, okay? So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to be doing, thank you for letting me use this, item number 2 under E, regular business, Appeal 23-04, consideration with possible action on the variance requested submitted by, again, I'll say this every time, please forgive me on names and everything, I'm horrible at it. So, Joa Moa, is that, am I close?
Yes.
Okay, property owner and applicant to create a parking stall within the side yard setback at 1696 Deckner Avenue in District 5. So that's your guys' case? go ahead and come up, whoever wants to testify and sit here. This is the,
Yes. So everyone is aware, we're going to be attempting to use a language service to do the interpreting. So I'm going to try to get them on the phone, so everybody please just bear with me.
I love this.
Gonna do the best that we can.
This is great. Progress.
We're working on it.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome to Language Line Solutions. Please enter your 6-digit client ID.
We were talking about language services and stuff. It's great, so that didn't work.
Your
We'll see
call
how it
may
goes.
be completed without a valid and adequate ID. Please enter your 6-digit client ID.
This is a little better than waiting for interpreters to show up and schedule those clients.
Oh, really?
Please
You go to the courthouse all the time, so they get recorded.
Mom,
That's what it is.
We would be the large organization I worked with previously. We would have to service.
Yes. Hi. So I'm calling from the city of Green Bay. We have a hearing that, a board meeting that's happening that we have an applicant that only speaks Hmong, and we were hoping that you might be able to translate the meeting for us. So that, okay. I'm going to, sorry, there's a couple different people in the room. I would just want to make sure that you're able to hear everybody. So we're going to have everybody speak really loudly, and I'm going to put the, I'm actually calling through the computer, so we'll put that as close as we can to the applicant. I just want to make sure, Tommy, that you can speak loudly enough to make yourself heard as well. So first of all, if we can swear you in as the interpreter. Can you do that?
See that?
Nope, hung up.
Oh, no. Hang on. Should I try and call on my phone?
Sure. Or do you mind if we use yours?
Yep, that's fine.
Sorry, one moment, everybody. We're trying to get the interpreter on the line.
It's talking over. Mom. Yes. Hi, my name is Lindsay Mather. I'm calling from the city of Green Bay. We're in a board meeting and one of our committee meetings, and we have an applicant here who needs Hmong interpreter services. I'm hoping you might be able to help us out with that during it's a public meeting. Perfect. Okay, so I've got you on a cell phone. I am gonna put you on speakerphone if that's okay, but we'll try to pass the phone as much as we can to make it as easy for the applicant to hear as we can. Okay. Arch, I'm gonna give you to the chair of the committee first to just have you briefly sworn in, and then we'll get started if that's okay. Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Tommy. I'm the chair here. What's your name?
Hi, Tommy. My name is Dia.
You said Dia?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi, Dia. Because we're a quasi-judicial board here, I'm just going to have you, I'm going to read something to you and just say, yes or no at the end, if that's okay. So, Dia, do you swear or affirm that you will make an accurate, complete, and impartial interpretation from the English language into Hmong and vice versa of all communications during this proceeding using your best skill, judgment, and ability in accordance with the standards prescribed by the law and the other applicable code of ethics?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Dia. All right, we are here. We're a zoning and planning board of appeals, and so we have an applicant here.
She needs to start translating. Let's have John.
Oh, okay. Well, context.
okay.
I'm going to give you to the applicant, but basically we're just trying to go over a variance request for their property, just so you have context of what we're doing here. I'm going to hand you off to the applicant now.
Okay, sir.
You
Should I-
shouldn't have to talk too much. Just they should be able
Should I
to.
just put it here in the middle?
That's
Is that
fine.
okay? Let's do that. John.
Are you able to come
Are you
closer
able to
this
move
way?
down? We're just trying to find the
Just
best place for
where-
the phone.
Okay.
So the first person you'll be hearing from is going to be from English to Hmong, and then we'll hear from the applicant, okay?
Okay.
All right. First things first, I already read the agenda item. It is the goal of the Board of Appeals to provide and conduct a hearing that is fair in form, appearance, and substance. To ensure that this hearing satisfies these goals, each member of the Board of Appeals, please confirm the following for this appeal by stating, I confirm. 1, I do not have a conflict of interest, and 2, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
I confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm.
Okay, sorry, I gotta get used to the translation thing, so I will do smaller chunks next time. But if you want to try your best at translating that large chunk, or I can repeat it.
Please repeat for me, sir.
Repeat.
Okay, it is the goal of the Board of Appeals
Tiếp ta lên là tất chạy chạy thì nó do họ là chỉ được là tận đây nó
to provide and conduct a hearing that is fair in form,
tiếp ta lên là cho hai là nó hai cho đi vào cái chạy cha chứ hai nhanh nhanh
appearance, and substance,
tiếp ta lên là hai sao việc phát triển là nó thế
to ensure that this hearing satisfies these goals,
tiếp ta lên là thầy nó thì nó thầy có trời cái kỹ nhanh nhanh
each member of the Board of Appeals
tiếp ta lên là cái này tua hai nó có là nó đúng nó thế
please confirm the following for this appeal by stating, I confirm.
tiếp ta lên là hai cho luôn là nó nhá thì ta sẽ lợi là chẳng hai việc một số sẽ thế
1, I do not have a conflict of interest in this matter.
ý thì hai sao việc của chuyện mua cái sau nó có là nó thế
2, I have not received any communication from any party or person about this matter.
Có chẳng hai việc của chuyện đâu
And every member of the board stated, I confirm. And so we got that done. How are we doing so far? Good. Good, okay, great. So now we're going to move to John, who is going to let us know about the appeal. Okay. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, John?
I do.
All right, John, go ahead.
Okay, so what you are seeing right here is a aerial photo from around 2020. What you see right here is an image from this past winter with a residence and detached garage. The applicant is seeking to create a single stall garage alongside the side of the garage. This deviates from section 44-1747, subsection B, subsection 3C. So the property itself is 60 feet wide with the single detached garage. The applicant has worked with the city for the handful of site plans which have been denied in the past. The property owner is seeking to create a legal parking stall at 8 feet wide by 16 feet deep at the side of the garage stall. An 8 by 16 foot side yard stall is allowed. However, this does not leave the required 2.5 feet between the property line and the parking stall. So the applicant is looking to create an 8 by 16 foot stall which goes directly against the property line. They are requesting a triangle taper off of the parking stall at the side of the garage.
，
The rest of the driveway would be in conformance if the variance is granted. So that is my statement. Does the board have any questions?
Okay, because we're dealing with a translator, let's try to be as thoughtful about our normal general discussion where we're kind of whipping around thoughts. Hey, Stephen. Just as a note of record, Stephen has joined us now.
I've been on both times.
At 4:57.
Oh. Oh, I totally missed that. Sorry, Stephen.
Remember, she still needs to be interpreting this part,
Yeah.
so still pausing.
Don't worry about that part. It was just greetings.
Nope, she still has to translate it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, any questions?
Just so I'm clear, the driveway expansion up to the point of the garage would be in conformance, correct?
If a legal parking stall is created, then yes, it is. If it is not leading to an actual stall, no, it would not be.
Any other questions for John before we hear from the applicant?
I have one question. This is a new structure, isn't it, within the last 5 or 6 years?
1 second, Stephen. She was translating my thing.
Apologies.
Go ahead, Stephen.
This is a new structure within the last 5 or 6 years? Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Is there any, are the applicants the first owners of this property?
Yes, they are. This was a Habitat house that was built.
The only portion is along the fence line in between the garage, that it would be where the variance is, like the grayed out section on the map. Everything else is legal once the parking spot is legal.
Interpreter speaking. Can the person who just spoke re-share the message again?
Could you hear that, Corey? Can you say what you said again, please, just a little bit louder?
It'd be the parking spot, basically the grayed out section on the image is really the only portion that really requires the variance. Because once that's approved, everything else is legal.
Thank you. chị sẽ đơn chị tôi lại đua cho có vậy là chị để mỗi ít thà thì cũng sẽ chơi cho con thằng này à giờ con này có chị đã bật thành là nó thế hay gì không
Yes, that's correct.
giờ mà
No other questions for John?
Would Tolura Jin know the board John?
Okay, we will hear from the applicant. I'm gonna need to, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, bằng in nông đồ tụi mình có cái đó.
So do you swear or affirm? Oh, we don't need to. Okay. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Juan
Mà
Ma,
con nó say chứ.
and the address 1696 Dagner Avenue.
Okay.
I'm Danny.
Danny? Okay,
Danny Moore.
great. Thank you for being here.
Chưa về này tốt chứ.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth?
Thì con này thì nó ở cho luôn là con này là giờ để sử dụng hiện tại này nó bây giờ muốn cho đi con trắng.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so now we will hear your testimony for the application.
Chị ơi nó bên mà liền nông cho bắt cho lù ấy thả vào tận đây là thế.
Go ahead. If you can look at the camera on that computer so the board can see you.
Anh chạy thả. Chạy đi con.
Chị con chia đồ còn tận đây nó dọn còn là còn đó lúc chạm hoặc là trên này nhá tao cái đây bỏ qua thế.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Just state your case. So, yep, he explained kind of what we're looking at, but if you can state kind of the reasons why we should approve.
Okay, I'm a bit nervous about showing this.
It's all good.
So we have a narrow driveway. It can like only fit one car at a time. But if we like request for like a bigger driveway, just to at least fit 2 cars in it and get out safely and then to like a little bit more safer. Because like we live on a busy street too, and it's dangerous for us to enter and exit all the time.
Okay. Is there anything else they would like?
Right now, we already put the fence to block my neighbor. So if we do a little bit bigger, will be not bother my neighbor because we already put the fence already. So
That fence there, okay.
yes.
Okay.
Question.
Any other testimony that you would like to provide?
No, I think
Nếu của chỗ đó chị có tận hành gì là thế?
Coach Chwatin.
Sure.
No.
No more.
Okay. Does anybody from the board have questions for the applicant?
Chị cũng muốn đi chơi sát tổ nông là giống mà luôn nông trong cả thế.
Okay. Hang tight. We will typically go into discussion.
Chị ơi sẽ lấy theo em nên nào làm bằng trong thằng của thế.
But I need to check to see if there's anybody else from the public that it might want to speak for or against this variance.
Chiều ở trên này tỏ cái tỏ này chùa để trái cái môn là cái thân đầu ấy cho gặp phải vật này ạ là phù hợp ra môn luôn cho lần này cho con để nói thế.
Is there anybody here present or online that is here to testify on the record for or against this variance?
If cũng muốn nên nhớ rồi mà trên là có thiên là nhớ trên là online là nó em thì nó ở khu xa hay cho có của cái chuyện đó thành là nó trong là nó thế là giờ đi giá.
Okay, hearing none, the board will have general discussion when granting or denying a variance. Considering 5 factors. 1, preservation of intent. 2, exceptional circumstances.
Exceptional circumstances.
3, preservation of property rights.
If they in the perseverance of property rights, yeah.
4, absence of detriment.
Low in the absence of detriment, yeah.
And 5, hardship.
G in the hardship.
Those are the only elements which we as a board should be considering. Okay.
And before you all start, this is Attorney Mather, if I can just remind you to please make sure you are speaking one at a time. Ideally, if you can have the chair recognize you before you start speaking, that will be the easiest way to make sure that the interpreter is not missing anything.
Okay, Barb? Okay, Barb, go ahead. I saw your hand first.
Thank you. I looked at this request last time we met, and then I looked at it again this time. And you can translate that if you wish.
I apologize, interpreter speaking, Ms. Barb, can you reshare the message again?
Certainly. I looked at this appeal the last time we met and have reviewed it again this time.
Thank you. Tiếp thì ta lên đó rồi ta lo cái của ta muốn cho nên nói số rồi thế ạ. Cái cho các tài cho nên nó tôi đồ là cái của cho các sẽ đồ thế.
I am able to answer yes to each of the 5 facts and conditions that we must look at. I am able to answer yes to each of the facts and conditions that we must look at. Items 1 through 5.
Tiếp thì ta lên đó hay so để chẳng đây ý so chỉ của quân tế tàu hành chế cho. Tiếp thì ta lên đó ý so chỉ là của sửa sao là thế.
Do I need to give any further explanation? I'm asking this of the attorney.
Tiếp anh nói nông đơn cho cứ lý cho tiếp của ta có cuộc tiền gì thế.
You should provide some detail as to each element. However, the how detailed is up to you.
Écoute, ça, quand on a dit, il y a des choses ça, hay dia, Lolita, là, on a déjà donné compte.
Item 1, preservation of intent. I believe that this item, I believe this variance would not be inconsistent with the intent of the regulations in this district.
Yeah, I saw, perseverance intent. The case on the non-ayo, they go haji. They know your house. So on the non, the you have to in Lucho, but it's turned out in.
For number 2, the property is quite narrow, and I believe that is an exceptional circumstance, and that is the reason I would say yes to number 2.
And I saw the now one I had to main ayo. And that they go ahead the they go on to the shed talk on the load here.
As an aside, do any of the other board members wish to address any of the other ones, or would you like me to continue with 3, 4, and 5?
Did you go then is like a potato, so brave, grouchy, like a get a good example fancy.
Barb, I think the best way to do this, since you feel that you can make a case for 1 through 5, is to do that, and then at the end, ask the board if there's any discussion on any of those specific items. But let you go through 1 through 5 first.
You only know bar side, they just got time, you know what, eat a cheat tail. You know, time on the dana, that give a you a general, the different body, the commodity high.
You comfortable with that?
Yes. Number 3, preservation of property rights. I believe many of the properties in the district and vicinity have adequate parking, and therefore I believe it should be granted on that basis to preserve their property rights.
Yeah, other than that, I thought their preservation property right. On the north, put the idea more to like, yeah, and let it call you know, on the north of town, and then I got to leave one.
Number 4, absence of detriment. I believe I read the neighbor does not object. There is a fence that would separate, and I do not think there will be any detriment by allowing this variance.
Interpreter speaking, Ms. Barb, can you reshare this message again?
I shall try. I believe there is an absence of detriment. Translate.
I apologize, I'm sorry, I have a headset on and I'm struggling on this message. It seems like you're very far.
I got it, Barb.
You got it? You go for it.
Yeah, she said, I believe there is an absence of detriment.
There are no,
I'm familiar with the term of abstinence. Would you help to elaborate for accuracy?
Sure.
Interpreter?
Absence or lack of harm to the adjacent properties.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem.
you know what, so you more I jalakai, you know, you take the auto. You could buy the poor what you want that on the car, you know, what the Oshana gas, someone you just walk on cater.
All right, Barb, you're good.
Okay. Number 5, hardship. Because this is a habitat home built on a narrow property, I believe that the difficulty is not self-imposed, and therefore I can approve the variance.
And I apologize, interpreter speaking, I'm struggling on, the term that was used in here.
No worries.
Would, can you help me for
Yep.
elaboration, sir, for accuracy?
Yep, no problem. That their plan for the property is not self-imposed or is based solely on economic grounds.
Thank you. Yang kaya cheap and on your high side, you know, color high side, you know, hardship, you know.
So therefore,
Yeah, the no. Oh, go ahead.
no, my fault. Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, I apologize. If it's okay with you, may I hear the whole word, the whole area, the paragraph first?
Yep, I will do it again. Their plan is not self-imposed, nor is it based solely on economic grounds. Therefore, Barb is recommending approval of the variance.
Thank you, sir. There, just that in the life, the country, the Lenaya, Lenola, Kusa, Haipia, Lenaya, soon as I become a young woman, they want to put down here, Niku, her job on a normal, the Napia, so, you know, her economic, so, Niku approved nature of Hampia.
Okay. So far, so good? Okay.
That's what I got.
Thank you, Barb.
No.
Good job.
Thank you, Barb.
Does anyone else on the board have a counterpoint on any of those items that Barb listed or additional information they want to provide for any of those 5 items? Stephen?
Let her translate.
Don't go yet, Stephen. Do you want me to repeat that, translator? Dia?
I apologize, sir. Can you reshoot again? Was it just Delco? Yes,
Sure.
Stephen, you said?
Does any other board members have discussion on those points?
Thank you. Can I please, you know, I'm willing to, yeah, don't know what you're doing, but I'm not. No.
Stephen, go ahead.
Stephen, go tap out.
I find that the request violates preservation of intent to keep driveways from the property line.
Interpreter speaking, I did not hear the message clear. The gentleman that is helping me is joining him. Can you Tommy, can you reshare again?
Yeah, I will.
Apologize.
Stephen said, I find that the application violates number 1, which is preservation of intent.
Thank you. Okay, you know, to Haluton Lena, Stephen, you know, I thought of the Hamanamayo. You know, for long-term preservation intent.
Stephen, did you want to elaborate on that?
Not on the first point.
Okay.
It's gonna come up with a candy on the Nokia, that Tanya.
I'm having a little bit more difficulty on a couple of the other elements here. Given the age of the home, I think that this was a foreseeable issue, and I have a hard time finding that this wasn't a self-imposed hardship under the circumstances. I'm not, I also didn't hear this afternoon that that this property was significantly narrower than other properties in the neighborhood. And for record purposes, based on the email we received from the legal department today, I don't know that we have information in hand to say that, that other neighboring property owners agree with the proposed variance.
Tommy, I had more to say too, but I don't know if we need it.
Go ahead, Stephen, if you feel compelled. I don't think that the translation pace should deter us from any typical discussion we would typically have.
All right.
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second, Stephen. Go ahead, Stephen.
For number 2, this is not exceptional circumstances, as this is new construction.
Interpreter speaking, I apologize. Can you reshare the message, or can you please share the message a little bit closer?
He said, these are not exceptional circumstances because this is new construction.
Thank you. Giờ còn là nó là có hai tia là có chỉ cả và có mặt cho nhớ là chỉ chia thế.
For number 3, preservation of right. The driveway holds a substantial number of cars, and single-car driveways are common in the neighborhood.
Stephen, say that one more time. Interpreter, 1 second. Say it one more time.
For number 3, the driveway holds multiple cars, and single-car driveways are common in that neighborhood.
Interpreter speaking, sir, is it that single driveway is common in that neighborhood? Is that the ending of the paragraph? I'm sorry.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.ยังได้รู้ตักการเราจะให้ทอดเกี่ยวกับ preservation of rights เดี๋ยวให้ทอดถ้าเราคุ้มใจเองยอดตรงนั้นแล้วเนี่ยให้ทอดเดียนเราก็จะได้ใช้นั่นแล้วก็เขามัวอีลูกใช้หลังใจเตาพอเดี๋ยวเราท่านเราจะใช้ให้ที่นั่นอินวอร์จอยนะ
Was that it, Stephen?
Number 5, there is no hardship. The applicant states on their application it would be easier. That's not a grounds for variance.
Interpreter speaking, Can you reshare the message closer?
Sure. He said, number 5, hardship. He said that the applicant stated in their application that it would be easier as a convenience to have this variance requested.
Thank you. Liwa PG hardship. At the other Niwa Kanano, Nikusa Hatia Kanano, Yaho, Yong Yabato me.
Anything else, Stephen?
No,
Thank you.
Kuchola Chindila, Chichola. What's up here?
Josh. Did you have anything else, Josh?
No, I apologize for interrupting you, Stephen. I've got nothing further beyond what I said previously.
Okay.
Okay, Josh, go for the Chihana, Chihuahua Chihana, yeah?
Corey, any thoughts?
I only had one question for the city. When Stephen mentioned the preservation of intent, the question being, when the fence was built, typically fences are required to be 1 foot off of the property line.
Pause there, Corey.
This is not in the Corey, Connect up on the Chihana. Put a no in the low, so I fear, put a, you know, a good thought on that, not on the side, you know, of preservation. And chance I found the Palakan that I have a bit idea, so only easy enough on that, yeah?
Do we know if this fence was installed to that specification?
Interpreter speaking, sir, could you repeat it again?
Do we know if this fence was installed to that specification?
Thank you, sir. Here to Diana, Nebo Bodia, you know what, Solomon, Jalaka, Unanayam, Unoku.
Fences can be directly on the property line, as long as they do not encroach.
Interpreter speaking, I apologize. Interpreter that's familiar, what did you say was in growth?
Yeah. The fence can be on the property line as long as it does not cross the property line.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I thought I Jalaka, Unanayam, you know what, he wanted the DSC, Duality, so no, God, the shop, yeah.
Applicants made a fence plan that showed this new fence directly on the property line.
This is telling that I didn't, it's not touching on the non, like what the, no, what that you call it, the one to the Jalakana, you said the only non, it's only non, you know, the guy gave it, yeah.
Based on said plans, we presume this fence to be directly adjacent to the property line.
This totally was in and all, they could sign here and on the pool, you're the guy is in on the guy, that yeah.
Did that answer your question, Corey?
Yes.
And you know, but they don't let look Corey, yes, yeah, man.
Okay. Any other discussion amongst the board members? Barb?
I disagree with several points. and translate. This is a Habitat house. I've been involved with some Habitat house building, as many others of you have been also. You don't get to have entire say over what kind of garage that you get with a Habitat home. Therefore, I don't think this
Wait,
could have
let
been
him-
anticipated. Okay.
Let her catch up real quick.
Yep. I also believe I read in the application that the neighbors did not object, so I'm trying to find that part.
Interpreter speaking, sir, could you resend the message?
She said,
She said,
Maybe, okay,
say it again, Barb. She's looking in the application for a place where she thought the neighbor had stated that they do not have a problem with the encroachment.
and I'm wrong about that.
And then she said, I'm wrong.
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you.
The next point would be, could we please see the?
Wait, hold on, Barb.
Yeah.
Go ahead, interpreter.
Okay, sorry, I'll make it fast. Chế kịp tờ nên là cô ta đến cô tôi chùa phỏ, ít con là nhóc cho họ, thế là nhỏ nhánh cho hai tia. Chế nên nhớ ý nhỉ là cô ta tế, để là cô chỉ phỏ thế, để xì, ôi cha đi đó, thế là chế cái dầu này cô phỏ, cho chế là Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to see if John could please put up that overhead aerial shot of the neighborhood again.
Chế kịp tờ nên là hai chọn, sẽ là bữa cả, để nóจะbắt cho,ถ้าlà chọn là cái phỏ thế.
The reason I asked for this is in the application it states that there are neighbors that have wider driveways where they can fit 2 cars across. So I just wanted to see if that's accurate.
Chế hiệu thì chả cũng ta phỏ và liên trọ thì nó cũng ta phỏ hai tia, thì nó chỉ thế nên nhớ cho chán chán là nhỏ. Nên nó làจะเชิญเด็กเช่นในปีเด็กต้องอ้อรู้เลยนะเด็กต้องลงในจ้า
John, does that look accurate to you that there are neighbors that have larger, wider driveways?
จอนก็ในก็ฟ้าในก็ฟองแล้วกูยังคนชั้นหายเตียนในนะว่าอีเพียนนะจ๊ะเชิญเด็กเช่นนี้รอดูดารู้
Yes, there are a mix of single and two-stall driveways along the stretch.
Overall, I don't change my opinion on any of the items. I'm still saying that I say yes to them all. Oh, sorry. Can you translate what John said, which is yes, there are neighbors with 2-car wider driveways?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I will say it again. เด็กต้องขอในนะว่าจอนในก็ให้เด็กยิ่งไว้จะได้เราจะเชิญเด็กเช่นแต่กุ้งมัวจอนเด็กเขาอีรู้เราอย่ากุ้งมัวอีจอนเด็กเขาอ้อรู้
So I do not change my opinion on any of these items. And when appropriate, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Barb.
Sir, can you repeat what Barb said for accuracy?
she said, I don't change my opinion on the items and would, when appropriate, present a motion to approve the variance, which means take it to a vote.
Thank you. Okay, you know, do the time we can the point here. You know, the one the good social the one that here, and you know one the good ball the one that here.
With the variance being 2.5 feet, that's really what we're talking about, correct, John?
John.
We are discussing, it is a 2.5 side yard setback for properties 60 feet and over for their driveway.
Yeah, you know, all time you talk, you know, what your off point G, in the non, no, I don't do feet, you know, don't consider the change.
If this property were 59.99 feet, the setback is 1.0 feet for a driveway.
They are the touch on the teacher point to feet. That they come on salad in the Louis call many e, you know, feet, the consider
To clarify for me, it is going to a 0 side yard setback with this plan.
Approximately 0.
To clarify for me, oh, I'm sorry.
You don't need to translate this portion. Just for those on the call, Lindsay's on the thing just to kind of maybe help visually to like the start and stops of talking. So that's why she's putting her hand up, not because she wants to talk. She's basically trying to help us, like, hey, stop talking, they're translating. Okay, go ahead and go. So she's trying to help virtually for us to kind of maybe speed up a little bit. That's why Lindsay's on. So if you see her, that's what she's trying to do, like a start-stop red signal. You don't need to translate that.
There she is. Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes, you can.
In order to be legal, the driveway has to be 8 feet wide at that point. That's the law. They can't make it any smaller. So we have two laws conflicting, right?
Digital in the on the non-ion, you know what, see idea, yeah, they work on the non-link, you work a side, you know, you see them beyond, yeah, then I get go walk on the non-link, full of shit down, so much you have, eh?
So any driveway needs to lead to a legal parking stall.
Digital in the yeah, they work on the China, so they China, you saw on the China.
To create a legal parking stall, it must be at least 8 feet wide.
They call the church on the chase, and Jay will check on the night, just you know what, he beats that here.
Yeah, so the applicant is requesting the variance because they do not have the 10.5 feet. They need to legally create both 8 feet for the stall and 2.5 feet for the buffer.
Digital in the law, in the one line, and I have the point card here, so for the chuma of what she's in that. If there is that, they go more, or easy to our point cheesy buffer again.
The rest of the driveway would be legal if there is a legal parking stall, because that would equal a 17.5 foot driveway, which is over 16 feet.
Digital in the law, yeah, they're all in the anyhow. Digital in the law, you want the little guy, you more consider change. Yeah, go job 20 feet. Thì nó vào họ chơi này là những cái dòng một đầu bờ đầu phí để cháy ra để cháy lọ.
Also, to be very clear, with the drawing that is here, all other areas, if approved, the triangle taper, the setback, all of that stuff is in compliance. It's just the striped area up top.
Nếu chúng ta lên đó là hay so cho nên nó do như từ chưa đưa ra ngoài từ chưa hay so nên nó vào ở lối trời ngồi nó thế này nhở chưa hay cho vậy nó vào sai chỉ chơi sợ có màu sọc đấy.
You'll note the existing driveway is 11 feet wide.
Thì nó vào tập cái chuyện này giờ cái những quả thì là có những cái chơi là mà giờ có ý đã.
This extra expansion to make it total of 17.5 feet wide would not be legal and will not be legal up to the garage unless there's a legal parking stall up there, which is why we're in this variance request.
Thế thì ta nên đó là hay cho con là đó giờ nên nó vào thì chỉ tới họ vào chỉ thầu chạy. Nếu họ cần đi nhất là họ chạy đi nó chạy thế này nhở. Thì nó như nó không có nghe hảo hay kiểu tất cái chạy chế nào một cái con nào phải chạy cái chế.
So the rest of the expansion is not on the board right now without the stall at the garage.
Thế thì ta nên đó là con nó đi chơi cho nó thẳng. Em cái bao tiền họ ta vẫn như họ như tiền họ mua cho chơi là
Okay. I think we've had enough discussion unless there is something glaring. Oh, Stephen, did you have your hand up?
I did. I second Bob's motion to approve.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. Let's back up for the translator. We have a motion by Barb to approve the variance as requested.
Chứ mà là nó chỉ hay cho tôi là bar cho nên nó vào phần nó là nó chỉ phải là để mình cũng cho chạy kia nên thứ là chứ nên của nên
And then a second by Stephen.
có thì cái đó thì là chứ
Any other discussion?
tôi rất là thằng đi
All those in favor say aye.
nên nha là ai
All those opposed?
Nay.
nên cho chị tôi sẽ
The ayes have it. 4-1.
thì nên nó muốn rằng là để upload cái ý
Thank you to the applicants. Thank you to the board for this first journey with the translator. Oh, I'm gonna flip it. Your variance has been approved, so please work with John and the city to make sure whatever is built is complying with the variance approval and existing code. Okay? Thank you, Dia.
Dia, before you go,
Thank you, sir.
can I just get your number again, just for ID purposes?
Oh, sure, yes, 362271. I apologize if I didn't share it.
You did, I just didn't write it down, you were too fast for me. Thank you so much for
Thank
all of
you.
your help, we
You're
really
free to go.
appreciate you.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate your
Yeah,
patience.
thank you for
Have a
your
good-
help.
Okay. Thank you.
Bob.
Have a good evening. Thank
Okay.
you. You too, thanks, bye-bye.
All right, so we're going to move on to number 3, the second agenda item, well, the third agenda item, the second appeal. It's going to be Appeal 2308, consideration with possible action on variance requested submitted by Jose Maciel, property owner and applicant to allow a front yard parking stall with dimensions exceeding maximum dimensions in District 3. Jose, are you here in person or online?
Oh, here.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Go ahead and grab a seat up front here. Same process, but maybe a little bit faster. Do you swear, we're gonna hear from the staff first, but I might as well just swear you both in.
Real quick, Tommy, if I'm understanding correctly, you're going to help with any language issues, is that accurate?
He speaks good English, I'm just gonna help with the problem.
Okay,
Yeah, I want him.
Just in case.
Just in case it is something.
I love it, and if we need to speak slower,
Okay.
let us know as well.
Okay.
Okay? Thanks for being here. John, do you swear that the testimony you are going to provide will be the truth?
I do.
I'm just gonna do this at the same time, I don't know if that's out of order, is that okay? Can I do it right now? Don't have to worry about it.
name and addresses, don't forget.
Okay.
Swear both of them in, please.
Your name and address is for the record,
Jose Maciel, and 1826 Terra Lane.
Okay. and
Ricardo Maciel, 1826.
thank you. And you both swear that the testimony you will give will be the truth today? Great, thank you. All right, John's gonna go first, then we'll go to you, and then we'll, same thing, questions and then discussion.
Thank you, Chair. So the property you're seeing right here is at 1826 Dever Lane. They're looking to deviate from 44-174 subsection 3, subsection E. This is in regards to putting in an extra parking stall in the front yard when you have an attached garage that is a single stall. So the property itself, you'll see, is 68 feet wide, and the setbacks for this property would not ever allow for any sort of side yard entry for a parking stall unless you took down part of the house itself. So the applicant property owner came to city staff saying, you know, I'd like to go ahead and put in some more parking. I want to put it in along the side of the garage. You'll note the left side is the east side of the property, pretty close to the property line, has some vegetation, and it would not have the amount of space to go ahead and put a parking stall there. Variance or not, there's just not enough room there unless the stall itself was substandard and it went right directly adjacent to the property line. So within the code, if you happen to have an attached single stall garage, you are allowed to put in one front yard parking stall adjacent to said garage. So you'll see right here, some of the write-ups here, this is what staff showed, which is completely legal. You can put in an 8-foot wide max garage stall past the garage door opening. With this particular property, there would be a need to go ahead and put in some triangle tapers to make it work with the apron itself, but that's all legal to go ahead and do. What the applicant is requesting here is to go ahead and go off this garage 13 feet or so past the existing driveway and walkway into the man door of the garage. Go 8 feet past the existing concrete to have a stall going right there, and then you have a triangle taper that would go ahead and access that. That would, in both situations, would create 2 legal parking stalls. Right now, there is 1 legal parking stall outside of the garage itself. So just note, that is their, their walkway to go ahead and get into the garage man door. The code itself states you cannot have a parking stall in the front yard that would block entry into your primary doorway for the residents. This request would not do such a thing. And then just for some more reference, these are some photos of the area. Looking from essentially the neighbor's property, or will be extending out to the street, and then a few more feet down the road itself of the property as it sits here today.
Okay, let's peel back 1 second real quick to be clear. The first photo you showed is a complying option. If they did this, everything's in compliance.
Yes.
However, they would like to go 5 feet beyond that.
Correct.
And that would then not be in compliance.
Correct.
So that's literally what we're discussing right now.
Right, so you are allowed to, by right, when you have a single stall attached garage, have another front yard parking stall that goes 8 feet
From the
directly
garage.
from the garage door itself.
Got it.
And so that's when you're seeing that red line that's out in the grass itself, that's approximate. What the variance request is entailing here is, rather than starting from the garage door, you start from the existing concrete itself. That would equal about 13 feet or so approximately from the garage door, rather than the 8 feet that the code allows.
Copy that. I am clear. Does anybody else on the board have questions or clarification before we hear from the applicant? From John. Yes, Stephen?
So I looked this up earlier, and I don't know, again, I got this up the City of Green Bay's code website. It says for single two-family lots with attached single-story garages that are unable to provide parking as regulated in this ordinance, meaning they didn't provide any other parking. Meaning, I assume that this is for people who have a garage that's built right up to the road, which I've seen before in other parts of the city, that they can then create parking in the front yard. They have parking, so I don't know how this applies.
So it applies in this sense. Let's go back to the folks in this first go-around. If you happen to have room to go ahead and take a drive either to the side yard or the rear yard, that would establish the extra parking. This facility does not have that without tearing down a part of the existing residence. So the exceptional circumstance in this case is the only extra place they can put it, an extra stall, would be in the front yard in this situation.
Okay, but I mean, that wasn't an exception. I mean, if that was true, right? I guess I don't understand why the regulation is listed that way. Unable to provide parking as regulated in this ordinance. Well, have parking as regulated in the ordinance. So the exception doesn't apply, does it?
Right, so it meets the minimum standard right here, it does.
Okay.
You only need to have an enclosed garage space and one outdoor parking space. That is your minimum for a house. As far as, you will note with other places in our city itself, there are places that are similar to this, to where, going back to this image, that there are front yard parking stalls, and that's allowed to happen right there, if you have the single attached garage. It's been the policy as far as interpreting that way, that if you do not have the space in your property to go ahead and create that legal stall on the side or to the rear of the primary residence, that this is allowed, as this situation right here is an acceptable application of that rule. The difference being, this goes beyond that to where it's now 5 feet further than the rule allows for.
And there's no problem with that, the city's tree, or?
That is, right, that is the property owner's tree.
Okay. I know sometimes the offsets are pretty deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Any other questions for John before we hear from the applicant? Okay, so he's kind of trying to tee it up and give us alternative options and everything, so state the case as to why the need, considering those 5 factors we're considering, your case for needing this variance.
¿Por qué lo queremos hacer? Yeah. I want to make it because all the time when I park my car, we block in my main door, So this is the reason I want to go spend the 8 feet an angle. And the second, the tree is almost gone. It got big hole underneath, so we need to cut it down anyways. So, and I want to, right now it's like 16 feet wide. So we expanded like 8 feet is 24. I think it's under normal 25 feet. We're at like concrete or driveway for that normal house. So we under that. So I need only 8 feet. So say making 8 feet. So I got space parking my car. We leave it open my main door to the street for emergency. So you need the ambulance, we need the fires, something happened. So we park in one car on that side, one car on the other side, leave it open my whole main door. And So when I park my car in the right side, we park the car in the middle, so I got room for walking in the front around the car with my door. Yeah.
Okay. What is the need, so my first question is going to be, there is an option, go back to the other one. Your drawing, John, this one? This option here for me gives you extra length and width and fits code. So what I want to hear is, why is that extra 5 feet beyond the extra here that fits a hardship? Why is that something that is not self-imposed?
Esa, la que dibujó John, que dice que está bien, porque no mira los pies, que piensa que porque los músicos quieren
Porque quiere saber, o sea, nosotros
añadidos a nosotros.
son 8 pies que quiero añadir ahí para poder parquear mi carro.
Pero que es porque
¿Por qué lo quiero hacer?
de la foto que dibujó John, de esos 8 pies que es de eso.
Para parquear mi carro ahí, para no bloquear esa puerta. Dile tú.
So he wants to add so he doesn't block the door when he parks. When he parks his vehicle, he doesn't want to block the main door.
This door or this door?
The main garage door.
This door?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the time we blocking that door, and when it's like when the snow storms, I got a big problem too. And we park in my 2 cars on one side, and last week, the one of the truck, we hit the car in the back with the snow when it's cleaning. So this is the main, and want to go expand it, and park it 1 car and 1 at each side.
So you want, sorry guys, I'm using a visual aid. I'll catch you guys up in a second if it's not making sense. But what you're saying is, you want to be able to park a car here, leave a gap here,
Yeah, right
and then a
there.
car here.
Yeah, car right there.
So that you have a clear walkway
Yeah,
to this
walkway
door,
to that door.
in between the 2
Yeah, in
cars.
between, yeah.
Got it, okay. So just to catch you guys up, because I know I'm using my screen, but what he's saying, I'm not sure if you guys caught that, is that he wants to be able to park a car completely on the other side of the door, the white door, so that he's got a clear walkway in between the 2 cars. That's why he wants the extra 5 feet. Whether we agree with that or not, I'm just explaining his reasoning, so you guys can see the visual aids. Does that make sense to you, all of you online? What I was asking and what he was clarifying? Okay, cool. That's my question. I don't have any other questions for the applicant. Does anybody have any questions or clarifying questions for the applicant? Otherwise, we can see if there's anyone in the public, and we can choose to either open up the floor for that discussion or not. Okay, not hearing none, hang tight. Is there anybody here in person or online that has, wants to voice their thoughts or concerns for approving or denying this variance before we go to discussion and deliberation? Okay, hearing no one vocalizing that at this point, let's go ahead and move forward. Some discussion from the board. Does anybody want to kick us off? Corey?
I mean, personally, I mean, because they can comply with the code, there doesn't really need to see a need to actually expand further. It's going to accomplish the goal of being able to put 2 vehicles side by side in the driveway.
Okay. Does anybody agree or disagree with Corey's kind of assessment? I think where you're kind of doing is the exceptional circumstance, number 2, kind of what we were discussing a bit earlier. And a bit of number 5, the hardship, which is the self-imposed.
And I can't agree to either of them being met.
Okay. Does anybody disagree with that? Okay, Barb, you had your hand up. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
I wanted to agree with what Corey said.
Okay. Is there any other comments before we go to a potential vote here or a motion that anybody wants to discuss or throw out, or thoughts? I tend to agree as well, just so I'm on the record. I think complying with the code, while it might convenience, right, might be to extend it past, and I completely understand that need, back to what we were talking about with exceptional circumstances, looking at the property in perpetuity. I think there is a option that is laid out that can comply, that gives some needed expansion. And I do not see that a case being made that this is an exceptional circumstance to go beyond what is potentially complying. So I will tend to vote to deny.
Especially point one, moderation intent. I mean, the intent of the code is to make sure that, some reform we preserve the right to feel that they don't motivate anything. A driveway is not large directly in front of a house like that, and there's no, it's convenience means, it's not, I don't follow the hardship or moderation intent to me.
Okay. I think a motion would be in
I'll
order.
move to decline the request.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Corey to deny the variance, and then I have a second by Josh. Any other discussion?
Just as a point of clarification, I don't know that we confirmed the lack of conflict before we started this.
Oh, thank you.
Appeal.
I apologize. I did skip that. Good catch. We're a bit past that now, right? Unless I still need to put it on record.
You should still get it on
Okay.
record.
Does anybody have a need to ensure this hearing satisfies the goals? Each member of the Board of Appeals, please confirm the following by stating, I confirm I do not have conflict of interest in this matter, and I have not received any communication from a person or party about this matter. I confirm.
I confirm.
I confirm.
Okay, I apologize again. Dude, I love it. Thank you for holding me accountable. It's great. Okay, so we have a motion to deny. Again, let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor, remember, in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Okay, so no opposition there. Unfortunately, it did not pass the board for the complete change, the full 13 feet. I think if you heard kind of overwhelming what everybody was saying is that if you still want to move forward with it, with expanding the driveway, there is an option that you can work with John on in getting some of that space and potentially working. But for the full 13, we said no, and I'm sorry. Okay? Okay, so feel free to work with John, though. Again, it sounds like there's still an option to get some of that relief within complying with the code for that specific property, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 3. No, sorry, number 4. Right? Yeah, okay. Appeal 2309, consideration with possible action on the variance request submitted by Josh DePaul.
Good job.
Yes. Green Bay Area's Public Schools applicant and property owner to reconstruct public lot on Preble High School at the 200 block of North Dans Avenue.
Mr. Chair, I'm getting some crosstalk out of the room, can we? I can't hear you, can you hear the room quiet?
Yep, sorry about that. John's just stepping out of the room for one quick sec. Let's take a 2-minute stretcher, because he's got to come back anyway. Thanks for your guys' patience, by the way. I know it's always fun to be the last agenda item, and you guys are doing presentations on the next 2, is that correct? We'll handle them both separately, if that's all right, just the formalities that come along with all of that. But I've been the last agenda item on some things, and I appreciate your patience.
If you want, you can do the conflict waiver for this one right away while we're waiting for John to come.
Oh, yeah, well, there we go. So on this agenda item, is there, let me read it again so I'm thorough.
I don't know if maybe Corey and Steven stepped away though.
Well, there you go. See, I gave him a little breaker.
My wife took it, so I do have a conflict.
Okay.
So,
Are you?
What did you say?
yeah.
From this one specifically?
From this one and the next.
Okay.
What was the reason?
My wife works at Preble High School.
Oh, I thought you said I went to Preble.
No. She works at
shouldn't be
Preble High
Preble.
School. She's a fire teacher and works on the football field quite regularly. So.
Oh, very cool.
I'll come back to you.
My in-laws got about a foot
All right, Corey, Stephen, we're gonna do the conflict portion. Just by saying I confirm, one, I do not have a conflict of interest in this matter, and two, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
Can you
I
do
can,
them separately because Josh is gonna say no to one of them? So have it, so.
They have to
do the
say,
first
I confirm,
question,
but you said.
I confirm,
Oh.
and the second, no, everybody can say I confirm at once, but you do still have to do them as two separate questions.
Okay. Okay, so one, I do not have a conflict of interest in this matter. I confirm.
I confirm.
I have a conflict.
Okay, so Josh has a conflict. Two, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
I confirm. I confirm.
I confirm. So given that you have saying, I don't confirm for one, are you recusing yourself?
I am.
Okay, from this one, we're gonna have to go through this again, it sounds like for the second one.
No worries.
Okay, so Josh will not be voting or speaking on this matter, but we're not gonna excuse him, he can stay. All right, any thoughts there, everybody? Okay.
This is Bill Kurtik. Are you talking about the North Dams Avenue project right now?
Yes, that's the item we're gonna be going on right now.
Okay, you're gonna show a lot map of that also, right?
Yeah, we're gonna go over, just like we've done before, we'll go over the whole lot, and John will tee it up in terms from a city's perspective, what the actual thing is, where the variance applies, why the variance applies. We'll hear from the applicant, and then I'm assuming you're here to either listen in, or if you have something that you want to speak about.
Right, but I'll wait for the process to continue.
Yep, and then I'll call upon, we'll have to like formally open the floor, stuff like that, it's a formal process, so. Okay, to you, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give on this matter will be the truth, John?
Yes, I do.
Great.
And so just to clarify in this, so there's two items that are played, or two separate appeals at play here. This first one is for the southern parking lot of the stadium. The second item will be for the area of the existing church property right now that is looking to convert into a triple jump area. So that'd be the second item once we're done with this one.
To be clear, we are handling these two applications completely separately.
Right. We are doing that because they're different property owners and different properties right now.
Okay.
The triple jump area that we'll have in play here, it's all part of the same overall project, but right now it's on church property. And so we're gonna handle that as a separate item.
Got it.
And we'll then take on these that are part of the Green Bay School District property for the southern part of the stadium.
Got it.
So we saw this last month. The schools have been working to go ahead and get plans, and at the time they didn't have all their plans ready to go for this parking lot structure. So last month, this board did approve a variance for a setback for the improvements with the stadium, the bleachers, and that area. This go around, we're focusing on the parking lot that is south of the stadium itself. With that, there are a handful of variances that the district is looking for the property. Part of this was triggered insofar that with the stadium reconstruction, they need to go ahead and trench into the existing parking lot. Once you exceed 500 square feet of improvements, you need to go ahead and comply with our existing code. And so that helped facilitate where we're at right now. So I'm going to go list one by one each of the individual variances that are requested for the property. So first one, at least 10% of the interior area of parking lots, so 25 or more spaces, shall be devoted to landscape parking areas. So this is the updated plan that the school district is pursuing. It is similar in nature to what is out there right now. The additions that come into play would be this landscape island on the west and this smaller one that's south of it. The school district has kept the same amount of stalls that are out on this site by rearranging the stalls and taking advantage of compact stalls on the site itself. So while the district is adding in some more islands, they will keep the same amount of stalls in this proposal. However, they do not meet 10% of the surface area within the parking lot being landscaped with the addition of these 2 islands. Next, landscape islands shall be provided at the end of each parking row and within the row so that no more than 15 spaces consecutively without landscape islands. So, as noted, these plans do call for a bookend at the western end of the lot itself. However, the amount of stalls that occur in between exceed 15 stalls, and they're not looking to go ahead and put in an extra island in the middle. 3, permanent parking lot landscaping. Landscaped areas shall be at least 15 feet wide along each frontage of a public street or sidewalk. So what's coming into play right here is the distance that is between the actual sidewalk or property line is less than 15 feet to the parking lot itself in both the south end here and the east end right here. So they do plan on landscaping it, but the actual width of that area is less than 15 feet.
Width being the distance, like this way?
The distance being from where you park the front of your car
To the
grass to the sidewalk.
Got it, okay. Just width to me, it's like,
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
different.
it's always this way.
Next, number of driveways. Multiple two-way drives may be permitted on one street frontage, provided the distance between the center lines is not less than 200 feet. So, the school district right now currently has and would like to keep on having two-way drives. You'll note the 2 drives that are on the east side of the property, those are less than 200 feet apart and do not meet code.
Those are the current driveways?
Those are the
And those are
current
the ones on the
driveways.
right side of this image?
Yes. Yep. Current driveway's in the same spot they're asking for.
Okay.
Finally, driveway throat length. The permitted throat length access drives serving parking lots must be a minimum of 18 feet. So that's being accomplished down here with this new bump out on this side. That's not an issue. The issue comes into play over on the eastern part of the property. The space that is between the property line and where the throat bumps out and becomes a parking stall is less than 18 feet. I will note the property line itself goes back quite a bit from the actual sidewalk. If you take it from the sidewalk right there to the throat length where it ends, that would be 18 feet. It's just the property line is a bit abnormal compared to where you typically go ahead and see a property line pretty close to the actual back of walk. Here, there's about a 5-foot difference.
Okay.
So with that, those are the 5 different variances that this board has to consider for this project.
This specific item, not this
Specific one, yeah. There'll be a
Okay.
second item with one item addressed in the following agenda item.
Have you, because again, this is what I like to hear from you before we hear from the applicant, alternative options have been explored or talked about before it came to the board?
Right, so we've gone back and forth with the school district.
Yep.
There were other variances that were put forth to go ahead and we'll get it down to having 5.
Oh, so there's more.
There were more before, we're down to 5.
Okay.
So, other options that could be considered, if we go to, for instance, number of driveways, multiple two-way drives. If this parking lot were to go ahead and become a one-way drive, then the distance between the drives would be allowed. Now, the rollback of that would be you're doing diagonal stalls, and you would lose a number of parking stalls at that point, approximately 20 or so, based on the calculations that we were given. You could go ahead and do it in that fashion, but to keep so right now, they do not have, let's go back to the first image. In the back of this, they don't have any of those islands that they put in. So they have kept the same amount of parking stalls that currently exist in this configuration that they've provided. If you've made a diagonal, you would lose about 20 more stalls. So those are trade-offs with this.
And they can probably address this as well, so you can tell me whether I should hear that from the applicant or not. Compliance is an option for this. It's a matter of the need of the amount of stalls. Is that fair framing here? Is that?
Yeah, it's a fair framing because they could go ahead and do a one-way drive. you would lose the amount of stalls that you have.
And add more landscaping and add all these different.
Right, yes, with those as well, yes.
Yep, so all the 5 could be met, but the problem is you would go from X amount of spots to maybe half.
If you went ahead and put in all the different ones, if you say you got to 10% for your landscaping,
Yep.
and we would probably get our 10% if we put in a central landscaping island,
Yep.
big enough, but yeah, you would lose a number of stalls by doing it in that
Okay.
situation, yes.
Any other questions for John before we go to the applicant? Corey?
When you mentioned the one-way drive, is code require them to be diagonal stalls, or can they keep this configuration with the one-way? Because that was the first thought I had when I'm looking at this, I'm like, why can't you just go one way and avoid that one variance? I mean, is there some other code that requires those to be diagonal stalls?
Right, part of that is that when it's a diagonal stall, we inherently as drivers and users know which way the flow of traffic is supposed to go. And whether or not we put up a sign that says, do not enter right here, for a parking lot that's been in place for 40 years, where people have used this as a two-way drive, it still wouldn't go ahead and necessarily act in that function in reality if you said this is only a one-way drive.
I mean, people didn't know how to work around about either, but I do now. Things do change. I mean, if it's not required, then I thought it would be smart to have them diagonal, yes. I actually have a question, and this may have more to do with you just edifying me. So it seems to me that the school district is going to be spending an incredible amount of money redoing this parking lot because they have to build a trench. And I understand there's absolutely need for the trench. Why is this not considered just a repair? Because we could avoid this whole mess if somebody could just say, hey, this is just a repair because we have to repair some lines that are wrong for a different project, instead of having to redo the entire project and issue photographs.
Sure. So they're going to go ahead and actually repair the entire parking lot at this point now. That will happen,
Okay,
so.
all right.
I
don't know if that answers that, but the good way of not doing it.
Sure. And don't be wrong, we have considered that as far as the
Okay.
500 square foot and what it means as far as non-conformities. Staff has considered this as far as addressing that in the future, because we hear what you're saying right there. Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was more to I assumed everybody had gone through that logic, but I was just trying to work that out in my own head, so. Thank you for that. I don't have any more questions.
Thanks, Stephen. Barb, anybody else have questions before we hear from the applicant? We're good? Okay, thanks, Barb. All right, so for the record, first and foremost, state your name and address. I'll do that from each one of you guys.
Which address would you like?
Their living address or their working address?
Either one is fine.
Josh Chapala, 200 South Broadway is where I work.
Okay.
Ryan Bars, Rutland Corporation, 8888 Old 18 Road, Amherst Junction, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Okay, and then the second question is, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, dive in. So I think, well, walk us through it. You've been through this.
You're right. The whole goal of this is to maintain as many parking spots as we can. We're very limited on Preppel's whole site as far as parking. So that is the goal, and trying to comply as much as we can without losing those parking stalls. And yes, we could put in diagonal stalls on that lot, but there would be a lot of confusion. We're dealing with teenage kids. It might not be so pretty if that's what we're asking them to do. And it might just be used and then as a two-way lot anyway, as two lanes anyway, no matter how many arrows we put down there. So that's why we'd like to maintain it as it is. So.
Yeah, and as far as the number of stalls, I actually have 105 existing, and with adding the landscape islands and maintaining kind of the compact stalls there, I have proposed as 98. So we are losing 7 stalls with the current layout. But yes, obviously if we had to add the additional islands to get the intermediate islands and also the 10%, along with adding the additional buffer. I think it's about 10 feet right now as far as that south buffer.
Right, the buffers are approximately 10 feet on both sides, yeah.
Yeah. So if we had to expand that to 15 feet, one of the only options to maintain the four rows of parking would be to make it one-way. With the one-way layout, you can get narrower aisles and narrower spaces. but you just do lose so much. We did a layout that has diagonal parking with one-way, but it gets down to 76 stalls. So from the existing 105 to the proposed 98, we're losing 7 stalls already, but if we had to do that, then we get down to 76.
And to be clear, in walking through what you just said, if, I want to make sure I heard you correctly, if I came forward and said, here is a complying record, and it checks all of these boxes, and they're all gone, and you're not even here, you go down to 77?
I had 76 just to get, that would probably clear the 2 driveway variants, right, John? And then it would clear the south buffer variance. That does not yet address the 10% or the intermediate islands at 15 stall max.
Got it, which would then, you would lose even more by adding?
Yes.
Got it, okay. So there's
So like I said,
a
you're probably
likelihood where you could be down to
2/3.
60, 55
Right.
spots to completely conform.
Right.
Is that a fair guess?
I would
Okay.
think so.
I don't want to over-exaggerate
Yeah.
or whatever. Okay. And then just for my clarification, beyond, because I do think Stephen made a good counterpoint about things, and dealing with teenagers, you've got a short window of re-educating, because they're all going to be graduating in a couple years anyway. What would happen if you did do the one-way, and not worry about any of the other variances, but the one-way with the diagonal spots? How many spots would you lose?
If we did,
The one-way, so roundabout, and then you had the diagonal spots, would you lose spots in that scenario?
yeah, when you go to the diagonal stalls, that's really what eats up a lot. So that's where you're going down to that 70.
That's 70?
Yeah. And as far as, is there an option to mark the aisles as one-way, put up signs and pavement marking, but put in 90-degree stalls? Legally, yes, I think you can do that. Operationally, from a traffic perspective, I would say absolutely not. I would never want to design or construct a parking lot in that
It didn't
fashion,
have
because
that.
you're telling them to go this way, but when you pull into a stall, and then you get, oh, I'm backing out and I'm going, east instead of west, and just natural reaction when you're parked perpendicular, you're not thinking about, oh, I need to go that way when I back out.
Got it. From a school perspective, again, I'm dominating right now, so I will give up the conch in a second here. From a use case, I'm not quite sure I know. What's this law? Is it student parking, I'm assuming, since we made
There's
the...
student and staff.
Student and staff?
Limited staff, but mostly students.
Okay, and from a higher level, there's a parking need, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be...
Yes.
So there's no other parking solutions that would say, hey, if we lose 30 here, we can make this a staff parking lot, but there's ample parking on the other side of campus or whatever.
We're dealing with that same issue on the other side, with our main parking lot over there is getting redone this summer also, and we had to go through that to see how we could accommodate. We had a variance last meeting that was approved to limit the amount of green space that we needed to put in that lot so we could maintain the amount of spots we have over there.
And that variance, that went through last year?
That was last month.
Oh, I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, it's not one time.
Okay. Just for what was the, it was approved?
It was basically a lot of the same thing. It was, limited space, limited ability to change things, and then we rebuilt the parking lot because, on the construction, and we worked to get maximal parking spaces.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm done for my questions. Thank you for entertaining my questions.
Yeah, I think for my part, I'm torn between sort of the estimate the intelligence of people and the hand people. So, but I think actually at the end of the day, I don't think it actually matters, because I do think from an overriding standpoint, what we're really talking about here is that parking near Clark High School is extremely dear. I used to live a block from there. And the kids are good, actually. They're good about not parking in the neighborhoods, they're good about not throwing trash. I've been there for 70 years, so I can say that's not a problem. However, I think if you squeeze the parking lots any farther, that may not be the case. And while I don't like that we have to issue variances here, it's just no choices. You don't have any room. you have nowhere to go. You don't have more land you can buy. There is nothing left. And I think you guys have worked with the city and done, at least the main line. You've gone through this forest as much as you can. And there's a plethora of bad options, and at least from my opinion, this is the least bad option, so that's my piece.
Any other questions for the applicants? Okay, before we get to Stevens bridging that gap, which I appreciate, any other comments? Phil, I know you had mentioned a minute ago that you were potentially here to speak on it. If that's the case, I have to open the floor, correct?
Yes.
All right, so Phil, is that the case you'd like to speak? Because before you say anything, I have to technically open the floor.
No, I was on 2 weeks ago, we were discussing the definite parking lot that adjoins my property, and I was in Florida at the time, so I got a notice basically that I'm 100 feet from that property, but I'm really not.
Okay.
I'm quite a distance from there, so I really have no comment for that, so.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I should have opened the floor for that. Oh, well. Okay, so let's keep moving then. General discussion from the board.
Before you get started, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Here to deliver bad news as usual. Just not actually bad news, just trying to add a little levity because I'm about to tell you that because there are 5 variances being requested, you should make sure that any motion, you're discussing why all of the elements are met for each of the 5 variances. So if you want to do them as 5 separate motions, you can do that. There may potentially be overlap between some of them, so you might be able to give the same 5 elements for some of the variances, but there are likely to be differences that apply to different ones. So just bear that in mind throughout your discussion and when any motions are ultimately made, and try to keep the record as clear as possible.
Can you explain why it would be different from 5 from 2?
It should be any time that there are multiple variances on a property.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this is an ongoing process where we're trying to make sure we're, looking at everything that, that the board does and making sure any gaps are being filled in. And this is just a gap that honestly I didn't even think of until Logan and I were sitting here right now talking about it, so.
And I'll save discussion on that for later.
Okay, so we have 5 different variances within one overarching project request. Does anybody want to take us through? We can go one by one and talk about each variance. That could be a way to go, and then be able to parcel out any potential debate on any one of those issues, specifically addressing that issue with all 5 variances, and then kind of just work our way through as a general discussion. Then we'll work towards a motion to deny, or is that okay from a process perspective? Barb, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Let's start. Well, let's start with number 1, and then we'll think about the project as a whole, and then speaking through the different variances. I hear what Lindsay's saying, and I'm not disagreeing, but I think if we speak in terms of the project and the application and the different pieces, right, we'll be able to pull out, well, I think all 5 I can make a case for, except for this one, I can't see it. So I think we'll get there indirectly by just having discussion if we go through each one individually. Is that okay? Hearing none, I will move forward. All right, preservation of intent. A variance would not be inconsistent, which inconstant.
So excuse me, you're saying we should do all 5 on preservation of intent, is that what you're saying? Or just?
What I'm saying is I don't necessarily think we need to go through each specific variance, because I think it'll naturally in conversation come out, and we'll either say yes, or someone will say no, right, within that one variance. Right, so specifically, we can make a case for like all of it except for the border, right? Like the border one that he was talking about. I don't have it.
So, I guess we're running
15 feet.
You're confusing me on this. Either we do each one, we go through all five for each one, or we don't.
If I could make a suggestion,
It's getting too complicated, guys. Like, I feel like,
Can we withdraw the appointment first and do this? That would.
no, I
that would be a great
don't,
suggestion.
I just want to go forward. We don't need to do, we can have a discussion after this and it'll fall on me from a legal perspective. I'll be totally okay. But it's getting so complex now. So I hear you. I take the advisement. As the chair, I'm going to move forward. We're going to discuss each one individually, considering the project in total. Okay?
Okay.
yes. All I was gonna say was if you get to variance number 2 and 3 of the elements are the same, you can say for 1, 3, and 5, it's the same reasons as the first variance, just to expedite where you can.
Yep. Everybody good with that?
Sure,
Okay.
let's try it.
Or do you want to do it variance by variance?
No, let's just try it.
That was-
So I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be. I mean, ultimately, we're considering this as a project, not as individual variances. Otherwise, they each have their own application.
Right.
So go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Number 1, preservation of intent. A variance would not be inconsistent with the spirit, purpose, and the intent of the regulations for the district in which it's requested. Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
I'll take a step.
Thank you.
I think that looking over the enormity of the project and the limitations that were placed on Purple High School and in the school district in that particular neighborhood, that staff and the school district has done their level best to preserve the intent of the city. They could get more, they could be asking for more parking spaces by asking us for even more exceptions in this particular case. And I think that that shows, in my mind, that shows a positive willingness and a, what's the word I'm looking for here? An intent to comply, even if the other requirements make it difficult. So that's what I would say about this as a whole, looking down at all of these exceptions that we're asking for are done in good faith. You know, not asking for anything more than we need. As a matter of fact, even giving up some parking spaces for it. So I feel this is in good faith and preserves the intent of the city.
Thank you, Barb. Anybody have any counterpoints with that or wants to peel out a specific variance where they go, I don't agree with that on this specific variance? Okay, number 2, exceptional circumstances. John,
I'll
you
take a
could,
crack at that one.
fine.
I think based on the expectation that they have the existing parking lot as is, and they want to maintain the existing there, the constraints that they have within the city block that they're living in, or with the parking lot being in, I can see that the exceptional circumstances applying to 1, to 2 with regard to both of those having the landscaping issues, as well as the 4 and 5 being with regard to the driveways. And actually, number 3 also has a landscaping pieces to fit within there that in order to maintain what they have, to Stephen's point on preservation of intent, their exceptional circumstances fit into meeting this need.
Okay, number 3,
I'll try that one.
look at us, team effort. I love this. Thanks, Barb.
Preservation of property rights. It is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the same substantial property rights which are possessed by other properties in the same district. People that have driveways have the right to park their cars there. They need these parking spaces for the preservation and enjoyment of being able to park for games and for school. So based on that, I would say all 5 of these variances are needed and will preserve the property rights of Preble High School and the school district.
Okay,
I would agree. I would also want to say that approving these 5 variances and preserving the property rights of people in the neighborhood will not be eliminated with teenagers' cars.
well, I think you're bridging the gap into number 4 perfectly. Absence of detriment will not create substantial detriment to adjacent property or materially impair or be contrary to the spirit, purpose, and intent of the chapter of public interest. So, Stephen, you want to take a stab since you were alluding to
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we're talking about the changes that are being made. If nothing else, we're giving a refresh parking around, new landscaping, along with a refresh stadium, from a aesthetic standpoint, works, keeping, roughly the same amount of parking spots, keeps the kids on school property, keeps them from parking up the neighborhood. They're not expanding, they're not doing anything that impedes the neighborhood. And I really do think that this does follow the spirit, purpose, and intent, and public interest in this particular site.
I'll also add to that as well, kind of going along the lines of that teenage driver and our discussion on the one-way versus the two-way. If you did go to the one-way with regard to it and the teenage driver is learning, we'll have a higher likelihood of fender benders and potential police calls. So we would be assisting the police department to that. It means you have accidents reporting and all sorts of insurance needs. So that's my 2 cents to absence of detriment for the rest of the community.
Anybody else on that one? Okay. Number 5, hardship, alleged difficulty in complying is not self-imposed, nor is it based solely on economic grounds.
I did try. The difficulty in complying is based on the area that can be allotted to parking. It's, I don't know how to put it, but it's like an enclosed area. They can't branch out anymore. There is no other way for them to fit these parking spaces in. And it's been there all the time. We're not sure if they're making a good enough case, but.
No, I think you're right. I mean, basically what you're saying is that plans equals inadequate parking for Portal High School, especially considering the majority of this parking up to this point.
Yes, exactly, Stephen, exactly.
And to piggyback on the one that we did last month with regard to the size of the lot compared to the size of the property, I mean, if you look at the entire piece of the whole, as far as like what the entire complex is, we had the difficulty last month of why do we have to treat that parking lot based on a different code was with the issue with it, because there's a residential code versus a commercial code. This is a need because they have the need for that many parking spots.
Yeah. Okay, good. I would say in total, my thought on all this is similar to like the stadium, whether this is the right filter or not. There are certain properties within the city that have unique characteristics and unique use cases. And this board, at least as long as I've been on it, has looked at some of those things, some of those situations and said, look, yes, complying with this code could be possible, but then it's deterring from the actual use of what that specific property is, and that specific property is different than adjacent commercial property A. This is a school, it's got needs parking for students, for staff, whatever. And so for me, I am inclined to vote yes based on everything everybody said, but at the same time, we also have to remember that within a general code of an entire city, there are unique properties within that code that require maybe some additional consideration. And so I'm inclined to vote yes based on the historical, which is not necessarily some reason why I should be voting, but I'm going to just state it for the record.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of voting yes to approve this application for variance of the 5 different variances, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, none, okay. All right, this one we can move forward with. Number 5 on the agenda, Appeal 2310, consideration with possible action on the variance request submitted by Josh Powell, Green Bay Area Public School Districts, Atonement Lutheran Church Green Bay, property owner, to construct a triple jump recreation area within the rear yard setback at 2214 Deckner Avenue in District 5. Since they're the same people, do I need to swear them again?
Yes, and please do the conflict waiver.
Okay. All right, so based on this specific agenda item, you're back in now, so you have to redo it again.
I'm back in for a minute.
Okay.
That's fine.
I do not have a conflict in the interest. Please confirm by saying I confirm. I do not have a conflict of interest in this matter. I confirm.
I have a conflict.
Okay. Josh says I do not confirm. 2, I have not received any communication from any person or party about this matter.
I confirm. I confirm.
I confirm. Okay, so Josh, being that you have stated I do not confirm for item 1, would you like to recuse yourself from this item?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. John, we're going to start with you, staff, on preparing us for this one. Do you swear that the information that you will be presenting is the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Moving on, so this is the northern part of this whole complex itself. So why we're in play right here is the area in question is currently a part of the Atonement Lutheran Church area. It's just north of the existing track area for the stadium. So you can see up here where it's a site area, that's the approximate area as far as where we have the spot where Preble's going to go ahead and put in a triple jump area for the track and field facility. This is a street view of the area in question. You can tell the existing fence and property line that separates the Preble track, and then a green space for the church itself. And then this is a approximate proposed property area for this triple jump itself. So with this in mind, the district has gone ahead and looked into purchasing a portion of the property. This chunk right here is approximately 165 feet by 55 feet by 162 feet by 40 feet or so. That they're looking to go ahead and purchase from the church. The church is a different zoned from PI. It's actually R3. That should go ahead and get changed, and they've already put in the, yes?
Can I just interrupt you? So is the church still technically the property owner? of
Church
this?
is the property owner, and they are at the actual property owners who signed on for this right
They're the
here.
applicant, are they here?
The applicant is the school district itself. The church is not here tonight. That's not uncommon for property owners themselves to not show up, especially in these situations where somebody's purchasing the land itself. But they have signed off on this. We've got written notification that they're okay with it.
Thank you.
So with this in mind, they're looking for some relief right here because they're looking to go ahead and place this triple jump area in the rear yard setback. We established a side yard setback at our last meeting with the stadium expansion off to the west. This would be the rear yard for this corner property, and because it's triple jump in the nature of, it does not meet the qualified improvements that could be within the setback itself. So they're going to place their triple jump far within the actual 15-foot side yard setback as a request. So with this in mind, if this board were to go ahead and approve this variance, staff would recommend 2 conditions on this. One, that the Green Bay Area Public Schools acquire approximately, and this is a change from your packet itself, I have actual numbers here, approximately 165 feet by 55 feet by 162 feet by 40 feet of property from Atonement Lutheran Church, and then a rezone of said 165 by 55 by 162 by 40 square feet of, or feet of property must occur, changing this area from R3, which is a church zoning, down to, or over to PI, public institutional zoning as well.
You're gonna have to, for me, go over that whole thing again, because everything you said, I was like, we shouldn't be doing any of that, so help me get there.
So here's where we're at with this. The church property itself right now is zoned R3.
Yep.
Okay, and so the school district is looking to go ahead and acquire that, approximately, let's just call it 10,000 square feet of property. So
Okay.
they're looking to go ahead and acquire that. That's currently right now zoned R3. In R3, you can't go ahead and do triple jumps as part of your uses on the property.
Okay.
We want to go ahead and change this property itself to be encompassing the whole of the property, which is public institutional. So that's it's a plan commission action, which they have applied to go ahead and be on the plan commission to rezone that property, this 10,000 square feet or so.
So let me make sure, so you don't have to go any longer. What we would do, if we approved it, it would be conditioned on that approval. If they did not get approval for that, then our request would not matter.
Correct, it wouldn't matter, because we would not want that to go ahead and happen. If for some reason the plan commission said, no, we want to keep this as R3, then they can't do the triple jump at that point. So there'll be another step that the school district has to go ahead and do here, but it will be through the plan commission and common council to go ahead and get that zoning change to occur.
In the past, we've been in these situations and we have punted because we didn't want to be in positions like that, where we are conditionally approving things based on things that we have no say or control over. We should be seeing the end result of that action stuff. Is that a timing thing? Is that why that's happening right now?
I think it's appropriate in the sense that if for some reason this board did not allow this to happen, as far as the variance goes,
yeah, but
there's no need for this to go ahead and have a rezone at that point then too.
Right, but that's putting us in a position where we are now indirectly approving and giving guidance to planning to say, go ahead.
If
Right?
I'm going to interject, the existing property owner is the one that has filed the variance request. So it is signed by the church.
Yep.
Right. This is more of the dotting our i's and crossing our t's right here as far as adding in this. It has not reached the plan commission level just yet.
Yep.
But
what you're saying is that if we say no right now,
yeah,
it's not even going to plan commission.
Oh, correct, yeah, there'd be no point in that, yes.
Yeah.
Correct, yes. If you say no.
Right.
Because at that point, there's no actual.
Am I being too difficult now? Because I feel like we've been in situations like this in the past, and what we've decided as a board, we do not want to be in front of those type of situations. We've done it in the past where we've done conditional on it, but what we've decided, maybe even prior to you guys attending some of these meetings, is that's not a good position for this board to be in, because we're indirectly approving or denying a plan commission decision. Because what will happen is the plan commission then goes, well, it's already approved there, so we can go ahead, which is not, I don't feel like the process.
Sure, so the plan commission will still have to do its whole rigmarole as far as giving its own reasons for rezoning a property. And the fact that this would be conditionally approved, so it's not going to, it's the approval here with the condition, I'm sorry, what was the first one? That it be purchased by the school, and then the second that it be rezoned.
Yes.
So those are exactly the conditions that we would want to see on something like this. Because if you think about it in reverse, zoning is this is specific to two properties. The zoning of the city generally is a much larger project, and so there's no circumstances under which the plan commission would conditionally change zoning, because you can't put a condition on changing zoning. So like what I'm saying is it couldn't happen in the reverse. It couldn't go to plan commission as like, we'll rezone this conditioned upon them getting a variance. Because you can't do that.
So the purchase will not happen of this property, would not happen unless the variance?
The variance will not exist unless they purchase it and the property, that piece of the property gets rezoned.
Right, but what I'm saying is if we said no tonight, then the church and the school district would not even move forward in terms of the purchase of this property?
I'm not sure there'd be a point.
Yeah, and I can explain a little bit more about why are we going about this, because obviously it's a little bit convoluted.
Well, let me swear you guys in, I guess, right?
Go through some formalities.
Sorry.
I would suggest that we make sure John's presentation is finished first. I would also say that that's whether or not the property or the purchase of the property goes through is not something that would be for the board's consideration. That's a matter between two private parties and not something.
But you're making us condition a response based on, we approve it if they purchase, so then it is becoming our problem.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say that. I mean, we have to take a look at the
We
situation.
should just say that
And then we go.
we would approve it conditioning that they do buy it and that the city rezones it.
Right, so what we're trying to avoid is this. If this got rezoned, if this got, you approve the variance itself and the rezone, this would be part of our conditions here with the actual rezone itself. If the school district, if they didn't actually go out and purchase this property itself, and now we did the whole rezone as well, that was for nothing at all, because the church is not gonna put up a triple jump. And there's no point in split zoning a property to be PI and R3, when it's not that cause right there. This is a pretty typical situation where we'd have conditions on, where the plan commissions also, say there's other boards, so we have economic,
I cannot see a scenario, and maybe I'm being difficult right now,
Yeah.
but like if we were saying a completely different property and someone was representing that property owner and they wanted to build a triple jump on their property,
yeah.
that's what we should be discussing. And so the conditional pieces of all of it, like you're forcing us to be involved with those two things. The purchase of the property by saying conditional on all of this. But
We're supposed to be the board of lands preserve. You're supposed to go through the planning commission. You're supposed to get all the ducks in a row, not come the last first, and then hope that the other stuff goes through. I mean, I understand why you're doing it.
I think we should just based on, yeah.
This makes me feel uncomfortable. You're in the process.
If we approve it, right, it would make sense without those conditions.
You can go ahead and add, you can add 40 conditions, you can take them both off.
Right.
It's the will of this board that was just a staff recommendation, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, if you want to approve this, feel free.
Right.
I don't want to be put in this position again because it's what I don't want to do. I don't want to have to make decisions like this. Because it's not that we want to make the decision, it's that, I mean, we're the board of last resort. We would not put up with this from Georgia Pacific. I don't see why we put up with it from the Green Bay School District.
There's nothing inappropriate about granting a variance with conditions on it. And this is not an unusual or atypical request. The board's not being put in any kind of position. Excuse me, please.
All right,
If
hold
you
on.
could.
Hold on, let her finish.
Thank you. The board is being asked to grant a variance by the church. As was pointed out, the church has submitted the variance application. The board's being asked to grant that variance. The staff's recommendation, because we know what the intended usage of that property is planned to be, is to make everything easier for the city. Because as John pointed out, if the rezone happened first, then you would be split zoning a property, meaning one property would have two different zoning categories on it. And it may or may not be used for that effect depending on whether a variance is granted. This is the proper way, the proper order for things to happen, because things that occur here can be conditioned upon things like future purchases and I've forgotten the second the second requirement. Oh, the rezone happening.
Okay. Man. Okay, well, Barb, go ahead.
What exactly is so the actual variance you want is a rear yard setback?
Correct.
Yeah, Barb, go ahead.
I'm very comfortable with this because of the years that I attended Plan Commission. And I completely understand why it's happening, and I also understand that we're the board of last resort. This is an exception. I think that we can talk through whether or not we grant the variance, and then decide if we want to put conditions on it. But what Attorney Mather's saying makes sense to me, partly because of attending so many planning commission meetings. So I'm comfortable doing this just myself as a board member. That's all I need to say.
Okay. Any other questions for John on this, regardless of the conditions he recommended or not?
Just, I have one, as far as like, why are they only set at that amount? Why can't they purchase enough property to accomplish the setback would be my only question. Or is it possible to buy enough property to get to that setback spot?
Right, so I'll let them go ahead and expand on this, but the triple jump area has a certain width and length itself that happens to conform with where the existing parking lot is for a drive lane, and then the existing edge of a walkway to access the bleachers off to the south and west. That triple jump area happens to go ahead and fit within it to where they would have to, the triple jump can't go ahead and essentially elongate to go ahead and make the property. This isn't, say, a building that you would go ahead and, why can't you just go ahead and shrink the building? A triple jump area is a minimum required width, kind of like a football field. So,
Right. So basically, the width based on where the parking lot exists, they can't accomplish that. And then, is in that diagram, is that adding curb and gutter onto that side, or
Right.
other factors and stuff like that, other construction?
yeah, so what you're seeing in this diagram itself is a proposed fence, and then their existing driveway itself for the
Okay.
church. So it would be driveway, small grass space, fence, small grass space, triple jump area itself.
Can you show me what's applicable where the variance needs to go?
Yep, so
Where the variance is percentage?
right, and I'm gonna go ahead and have to change mine so I can, there we go. So the variance
It's
itself,
for the range.
right, yeah, it's this area right here, so the property line that exists is following that fence itself, essentially.
Yeah, got it.
And so it would take up the approximately 165 by 40, sorry, 162 is on the north, by 40 by 165 by 55 on the east. It's that kind of mostly rectangular piece right there.
So the variance is on the north side, you mean?
Correct, yeah.
So we're looking close.
Right.
Or is it on
The variance is on the south side of the church property, of the existing church property, but it would be the north side of the future all-encompassing Preble Stadium property.
And that's what's too close.
That's what's too close right there, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Why can't you buy enough to do that, you have the church in easement?
I can explain that a little bit more.
Okay.
I know that's
Let's get
we had
to,
talk through some of
yeah,
that.
I think we've got the layout. Let's get to the applicant and swear them in.
Okay, sure.
Do you have to state their name again?
Sure, you can skip your addresses.
Okay. State your name for the, are you testifying in this one?
If I need to, sure. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Josh DeVal.
Okay.
Ryan Bars.
Okay. And do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Take us through the reason why.
Yeah, John, can you just go to the overall plan view that shows, as much of the track facility as possible? You'll see here the long jump, triple jump is actually in a vertical configuration there, right along the right side of the track. It's inside the track. And just as far as track meets go and student athletes competing in all these different events, having these field events operating at the same time of all the running events with all the athletes and different competing activities going on, we try to separate that as much as possible. If we have any opportunity to remove those events from inside the track and get them out, that's what we try to do. Just from a safety and track meet operation, it functions much better. We do have in our proposed the triple jump, long jump configuration to the north, like John is showing here. So we were trying to remove that. The other factor, there is an option of installing it inside the track again, but the other deterrent, other than just what I mentioned, is that the new surface of the field itself is going to be synthetic turf. So we're going to have rubber infill versus the existing grass situation. And with the jumping events, the long jump, triple jump, you often end up with sand spray as well, and spraying that sand out into the turf area we like to try and avoid. So it's another reason we're trying to get it outside of the track. So because of the existing geography out here and the lack of space that is here, the only option was to go to the north. And there's been a long-standing relationship and agreements with the church just regarding use of some of that land to the north. So to try and clean some of that up, the school district was hoping to actually acquire that piece. And then if you flip to the one that does show the property line. Now, John, what we were working with was a 10-foot required pavement setback there.
So we did,
Is that correct?
It's 15, because you have to identify either a rear or a side, and we've done the side for the west side.
Okay.
This becomes a rear lot then.
So it would be a 15-yard pavement setback requirement for that green line wherever we do establish it, and like as stated, that's what we're trying to do, is establish how much property should the school district purchase from the church, then go through the rezone process, and along with getting this approval here. So what we were hoping to do is not have to go through this variance process, establish enough of a setback so that we can skip this step. We were hoping to put that green line far enough north, but it would be like right at the pavement edge of the church parking lot. And the issue with that was that if and when the church wants to do anything with their parking lot, then all of a sudden their pavement is right at their property line, and they would have to come to this board and request a variance for anything they do. So we did not want to make the church hindered in any way. So what we tried to do was to give them 10 feet from this new property line where that green line is being established to their existing pavement, so that they have a 10-foot pavement setback for anything that they need to do. So that's why we came up with that green line there, and we knew that
the green line
we
would be
would.
zero?
It
I
would-
just want to track. So
So
the
the-
green line would be a zero setback?
So we're basically setting, yes, we're setting our field events there and setting that new property line right off of that, so that we can allow the church to have their 10-foot setback.
So in theory, if both properties were compliant, there would be 20 feet in between.
Well, there's a 15-foot requirement for the school side and 10 feet for
So
the church
25.
side.
And I want to step back. I don't know for sure what it'd be for the church itself. It'd be about that. We're going back into the same issues we had with the last variance with new buffer guideline regulations, to where it would actually be even a little bit more with that for a church and a PI right there. I don't have the number top of my head on me right now though. So, but we're talking at least 25 feet, yes, as far as the distance between the improvements in that area.
Okay, keep going, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I was.
No, so I
There's, like,
think.
all these lines happening.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, we're dealing with a theoretical property line that doesn't exist, but theoretically would exist, and we get to determine where that property line goes. Just be clear.
You could determine how much a setback can go ahead and be off of said property line.
But if we say it's 10 feet, we're determining economic decision-making for the city of Green Bay, or the school district, and we're determining a new property line for a property, correct? By approving whatever we decide here.
No, so they've come forth as far as asking right here with this to make that 165, approximate, 165 by 55 by 162 by 40, which makes, because it's a little bit of angles right here with the parking itself. They want to add that chunk to it right here. So with that, they're now setting up that north line itself. Right now, they're requesting it to be a 0-foot setback for their triple jump area. The code would require it to go ahead and be 15 feet right there for any improvements of that nature.
Okay.
If I could just respond directly to your question, Tony?
Sure.
So if the board says you have to have a 10-foot setback, you wouldn't actually be dictating the terms of any sale that went through. The parties independently, privately, would then have to determine whether they'd be willing to purchase, the church would be willing to sell up to the property line, whether the school would be willing to buy up to the property line. So that part of it, that economic part of it, would still be resolved by the parties outside of this matter.
Theoretically.
Let me
Yeah.
just kind of go over what I'm hearing here. So the danger of us, the reason we came to us first is the danger where we would say no later. And the fact that you might have a property that has two zones on it. Am I right there? Is there other dangers I'm not, or the downsides I'm not seeing?
Well, I think if this board says that there is a 10 or 15-foot setback requirement of green space between this property line and these new field events, the only way for the school district to accomplish that is to slide that new property line to the north, that 10 feet. Otherwise, we have to vacate this design and not move forward with this option at all.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is, what if this board wants to delay this variance until such time that you get approval from the planning commission and everything else? And get everything else done first, because honestly, I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years, but nobody's done us first before. And I don't know that, I'm really uncomfortable with it, to be honest with you. And I don't see why you came to this first year, there was a good feeling about, whether it be address work for you. That's what I'm hearing.
It just feels very conditional, that's all.
And
If it was, we have
what's the guys for you guys, for just waiting until you actually got everything else done?
Right, it feels like if it was, hey, the parties have agreed, this is the purchase, this is what we need, this is what we're willing to do. This is, like, it doesn't feel like we're just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, if Corey and Barb are willing to move forward, but whether, again, my brain's messed up right now, like, I'm getting to the point where I just want to abstain. Because I don't like, whether it's appropriate or not, it feels like this board is in the middle of a deal involving a school district, and I don't feel like that's super,
Well, we have agreed, like with the church, we agreed that we will be purchasing this land from them. Like, that's agreed upon, it just hasn't been finalized yet.
And so, again, answer the question. What is the downside if you go into the process first and then coming to us last, other than the danger that we might turn it away, which by the way, we've been very generous with public, and, I think if you seem to support this board for it. So other than that, what's the problem?
I believe we thought this was the process.
Right, so
Stephen, I don't think it's the applicant, I think this is, if I'm hearing everything correctly, I think the city has said, this is the most efficient way to get this done. So I don't think it's a question for the applicant, is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right, so-
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is going to go in front of the Plan Commission here for a rezone, I believe on the first May item. And then it has to go in through the Common Council, the two following meetings, unless they happen to go ahead and suspend the rules and pass it as one vote. They probably won't do that for this, because that's only an exceptional item, and I don't see that being the case here. So we could go ahead and bring this back and have it when and if the PC were to go ahead and approve it. I think the PC may have a similar question as to, could this go in front of variance board first? It's possible. I think that's the same thing.
And that's every training we have, everything we've been told is we're the last resort, not the board of, let's get this out of the way first.
I have a quick statement. I mean, I can understand everybody's points with regard to how it feels that, yeah, we are being put in that position to kind of make a decision on where should this go and what should we do with it. But holistically, I've been trying to figure out like what makes the most sense with regard to these two adjacent properties and what maybe a buffer would look like for between the properties. Because they expressed a concern with regard to, well, what if Lutheran Church, Atonement Church, has to do something with their parking lot in the past? They don't want them coming back to us with regard to an appeal for getting their parking lot done. is there a way that we could condition something like that with regard to, okay, this property needs to maintain a 10-foot green space buffer between the two of them, and then we can figure out where that line fits within there?
I guess that wasn't the problem for me. I mean, I asked about whether it is because of idea but not have the additional variance. I'm inclined to approve the variance as it says. I don't actually have a problem with the variance on the project. I have a problem with being put first in line when we are the Board of Last Resort and you don't have any of your other approvals. I mean, we can do that. I don't think this is the way things should work. You shouldn't be coming to us first.
Yeah, and
I mean, I would not put up with this in Georgia Pacific or any other companies in the city. Just because it's a school district, I don't see why you get special treatment.
Right, I'll jump for this. This is a decision by staff right here to go ahead in just an order of progression as far as how timelines are. The staff has not actually written the report here for this approval of a rezone from R3 to PI. But I am very, very confident staff will fully recommend that change because it would make sense in the scheme of the stadium and its areas with the school district, and then the church, and being separated based off of their mutual decision to go ahead and sell the property to one another. So
I'm reasonably confident this board will give you approval too.
Again, let's move on, because at the end of the day, whether we feel it's still here, I will say, you're getting a bit of a brunt of a process thing. I don't think that the school district came here asking for special treatment. I do not think the school district has expressed that. I think there's a process discussion, cart horse, that you guys are competing in the middle of.
No, and we all struggled with this because this is a very unique circumstance where, all of a sudden we're trying to get onto someone else's property to build something, and it's obviously very non-traditional, and that's why we were working with staff to try and figure out what are the 3, 4, 5 different variances and rezoning requests and everything that we need. So, and then it did kind of work out where the rezone is a longer time frame with Plan Commission, and then this kind of fit in order. Along with the fact that we didn't know, if we'd be able to get this variance request, and if not, then this design is kind of shot in the foot, and we need to go back to Plan B. So that's kind of why it's here. Overall project schedule, this is this summer's construction. I mean, it's out for bid. We're going to be building this thing as soon as we can get all the approvals in place. So, I mean, I don't want to have that added pressure, but that's kind of where we're at.
No, and again, I appreciate all the discussion. I want to be very clear, is I feel that I am being put in a position to make a decision based on theoreticals. A theoretical situation where the church might want to extend their parking lot in the future. That's not a fact, right? It's just an assumption. We're making a decision based on an assumption, right, that this is going to be purchased, right? We're going to condition it that this is going to happen. It's all just theoretical stuff. And I think that's for a board that is supposed to be dealing with facts. This is what the plan is. This is the purchase. This is what we're going to do, and we are looking for an approval for this. Now I'm in a position where I go, cool. But the minute it's like, well, you approve this, that conditions this, and then this person goes here, and then this potentially might happen here, and then if you approve it, it's just, whether it's appropriate or not, legally, it's not a good position. That's all, because it's based on.
So let me offer a compromise. That may solve this so that we can move on from this, because at the end of the day, I like what you're doing and I want you to do it, okay? And I want to go through. I can go down the fact list and we will, if we need to, approve all of this. What I would like to do is, get the 2 positions that staff suggested, before approving the variance, but also I think we need to have an in-depth discussion with staff. We can't have this happen again. I think that we're is very uncomfortable. And I understand that it's done already, and if we deny, that screws everything up. Or if we delay it does. I don't like this.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would be willing to put forth a vote for approval if I can get assurances that we're not going to be at the beginning of the process again.
Well, I don't think we can do that, Stephen. I hear what you're saying, and I'm on
Sure
board.
you can, John just has to say yes.
Well, we can't make a
It's a condition we can.
conditional over staff change.
Child successor or anything like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, it's another procedure. I mean, I want,
Yeah, but
let's
that's,
put it this way, if I don't get a promise that we'll do that, how about we get a promise that we just discuss this in terms of how we do this as a procedure with the board?
but I think we can do that separate from this. I hear what you're saying, but in the flip side, what we're feeling uncomfortable about is the exact same thing we're doing to staff right now, which is, hey, we will move forward conditional on this, and that's where it starts to feel weird. So I hear you, I am on the same page as you in terms of that general discussion, but I think at this point for us to move forward, I'm willing to let go of my uncomfortableness to try and look at this open-ended, or with open eyes, and with a lot of assumptions, so we can move forward. But I agree that we should have a larger, after this case, so they can go home, whatever, discussion about process. Because I think that's what I've been working on for the last 2 years, is trying to improve process. And I don't think this takes us there. So let's move on from that. I hear you, Stephen. I don't want you to feel like I'm not hearing you. I just want to move forward.
No.
Okay. Is there any person that wants to shake through this variance request, conditional or not conditional, and go through the 5 things?
I don't want to continue to get those in trouble. I'm going to do the variance and try to get the rest of the parents and stuff. I don't want to go on this.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move forward with general discussion.
Okay, how about if I try? Want me to do it?
It could be a group effort like we did before. If you want to start, that's great.
All right. So
Before you go, I just want to make one quick statement before you go in there. So with my job, with regard to being underwriter, I live in the gray a lot. So making assumptions and understanding like the broader picture as far as like what the goal is with regard to this project, it's helping me as far as like frame what I'm comfortable with regard to this. So I just say going into these statements, I would say take a holistic look from the broad perspective with regard to, yes, we have the school district as well as we have the church and the limitations that they have with regard to everything else that we've talked about and accomplishing what they want to get to, like bring themselves up to like standards of other newer schools. I think that is helping me in my mind, but Barb, go ahead.
So I think there's just one, is it just one variance this time?
Yes.
The two. Did you say yes? I couldn't hear.
It's one.
For this one, it's
Right.
fine.
All right, so I'll start. Preservation of intent. I don't think it would be inconsistent with the intent of the regulations for this district in which it's being requested to allow less than 10 feet pavement setback from the property line. I can say yes to that. Does anyone else want to talk on that one?
No, I agree.
Okay, exceptional circumstances, absolutely. I think that they do apply to this lot, and they're trying to come up with a way that will help the church and will help the school and will allow this track and field area to be built, and there just isn't any other room. It's definitely, and it's certainly, I don't think, going to be recurrent in nature to suggest that the zoning ordinance should be changed. So I would say yes to exceptional circumstances.
I would agree, and I would add that in this particular case, there's been an existing sharing agreement for this space, and this gets in the right building in the church, it brings the church in some income.
Great.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Preservation of property rights. It is necessary And the point that was made before, for the preservation and enjoyment of the same substantial property rights that other properties such as this, such as newer schools, in the same situation would have for their track and field. Is that stretching it too much for the preservation of property rights? Because there isn't anything else in the same district or vicinity. But other schools.
I think that works. I mean, and the alternatives are pretty suboptimal when you consider their service on the field. So,
From a safety standpoint, with the new survey, that the sand mix.
Right.
I don't even know how you get that out, or sort of vacuuming the field.
And then in absence of detriment, certainly it's not creating a detriment to the adjacent property, they're agreeing to it. They're asking for it. They're asking for it. And as far as hardship, it's not self-imposed, it's not based on economic grounds, it's based on the need.
Real quick, your statement, you said because they signed an application for a theoretical property line that we don't know exists and potentially could have a parking lot that expands, which narrows that gap under a theoret, you'd have to build a case.
They're the one asking.
They're not here.
So,
They haven't made a sale. We don't know whose lot this is, whose property.
okay, so, I was gonna say, you can't just assume that somebody, falsified the document. The church
currently is going to design a triple jump.
It's on them to understand the conditions of what they're asking for. And if they don't understand, that's not on us.
Right, the church came forward here with their signature for the property owner as far as, this does happen quite a bit as far as somebody who might be selling a property. Once they sell the property and somebody else develops it, they're gonna take to whatever the cues are for what the new people who are taking over this property, they'll design and build that situation. So
I'm
the
gonna let
church,
go, but this is,
the church itself is the property owner and is part of the application for this right here. They're not here, the applicants themselves are here, but they don't have to be here for it.
testimony was given that the property owner and the gap in which we are voting for, which is 10 feet currently, right? If we approve this.
Would be off of this new property line, like 15, right now it's going past the 15-foot rear yard setback.
So it would be at the end of the day, from parking lot to new property line, where the end of a triple jump would be 15 feet.
Now, so I'm gonna go back to this right here.
What?
So this green is a new property line?
Yep.
Okay. This is a fence, that's the parking lot itself. So they would move this property line up to the triple jump itself.
How much space, right? If the goal of this ordinance is to create space between property owners, right? That's the goal, the spirit of this. At the end of the day, whoever's selling whatever, at the end of the day, if we approve what's drawn right here, what is the final number of feet in between their parking lot and the new property line?
Their existing parking lot is 10.19 feet to the new property line.
Right, so 10 feet. Okay. Testimony was given about, well, if the church wants to come and expand their parking lot, they're coming and getting a variance now. Correct?
If they wanted to go ahead and take, I haven't looked at their parking lot to see how many changes they have, but they're an older parking lot. I presume they'd be in a situation of many folks here where they would need to go ahead and do upgrading of their parking lot.
If they decided to repave their entire parking lot, at 10 feet, are they within a setback?
For that right there, give me a moment, I'll let you know what that is for sure. Yeah. For what they have right now, it is fine for what they have at the moment. They are conforming to what they have.
No, but earlier when someone did a certain percentage over a repave, then it had to comply within code. So if they decide to repave the existing parking lot they have with this new property line, is 10 feet from the property line compliant?
Sufficient. One moment, please. There are two parts of the code that are in play right here. It's the off-street separation between uses, and then our update the landscape code itself as far as the distance between them. Yeah, 10 feet sufficient, yes. Between those and these districts, the way they're going right now, yeah.
So if they repave their entire parking lot, they would not need a variance?
Not for that specific standard, no, for the setback area. They might need one here for something else like we discussed in
No,
the
no,
last
I'm
one.
saying between the 10 feet within the property line or whatever, if they repave
Yeah.
their entire thing, they're not gonna come and say, oh,
They're not,
no.
no, they're
But if
good.
they decide to expand, right?
From their current existing footprint itself.
Yes.
And they kept it at 10, yeah, they'd be okay. In that aspect, yes.
I'm lost. That's okay. Let's move forward. Go ahead, Barb.
Okay, so I think the final one is hardship, and it's not a self-imposed hardship, it's not based on economic grounds, it's based on the fact that the property can't expand anymore. There isn't anywhere else for this to go. Does anyone else have a better argument for hardship? So I make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the variance request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a second by Corey. Any other discussion before we go to a vote on this variance application?
Am I
Okay,
able to add the conditions, or how do we add the conditions to the,
Good point.
with regard to that motion? Because I would add, with regard to the second motion, to add in the condition that the property sale is completed, as well as the area is rezoned. I'm trying to think if is there any other conditions we want to add on to it?
John, can you repeat the two conditions you wanted?
Yes, we'll do.
I think those are right,
Yeah.
but
do we need to be that specific with the area?
I can say approximately 10,000 square feet, if we want to do that, because that's what I'm taking an approximation right now of, it's approximately that area.
Are you guys okay with approximations, or do you want it to be exact?
Yes, I'm okay with that. I'll put that in the motion.
40 feet by 165 by 52 by 162. I think that's what the dimensions were.
Yeah, 165, 55, 162, 40 are the numbers, yeah, approximately.
Okay, so Barb, you made the motion. Do you agree to have those conditions added to your motion?
Yes, I accept those conditions. Do we need to vote on this as an amendment, Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay.
Vote on.
So Corey has to move to amend it.
Move to amend the conditions with regard to the rezoning as well as condition of the property.
I'm second.
We have to vote on the amendment first.
The amendment on the motion?
Yes, because Barb made the motion, and so Corey's adding the condition, so he has to do that by amending the motion.
Okay, all those in favor of amending the motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, so we have an amended motion on the floor to approve the variance request with the certain conditions of the sale and the dimensions as listed. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the motion with the conditions, or the variance with the conditions, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? Okay, so it's 3-1, so you guys have the variance requested with those conditions. Obviously, there's conditions on it, so stay in touch with John. I would suggest, obviously, I'm assuming you're on the agenda for the plan commission and all that different stuff, so that can give you the schedule for when those meetings are, so you guys can testify there as well, and then common council after that for full approval, okay? Cool. Awesome. All right, great, thank you for your time. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to section F, date of the next meeting, May 15th. Does everybody have that on their calendar?
The minutes for the last meeting and all that stuff, is that not good for that?
Yeah, I don't believe you were here for that portion.
Okay.
Is there any other?
Wait.
What's that?
Sorry that you're early.
It's 4:30.
Okay, my apologies.
All good. It's not on the agenda, so again, this is where, do we want to put anything, direct staff to put anything on the agenda, so it's formal discussion about anything Because we can't just have open discussion right now. Is there anything that we want to direct staff to have on next week's agenda?
Nope. So it's not actually appropriate for the board to even have that much of the discussion, as we've discussed previously. Any suggestions can be emailed directly to staff.
So we can't even make verbal suggestions anymore?
That's correct.
But two months
Unless
ago,
they
you
come up-
said that we could do that.
Unless they come up in the context of one of the variance discussions.
Okay, all right.
I would like you to say where that's written, because that doesn't sound right to me. And I watched videos of other people's Board of Appeals, and other cities in Wisconsin, and they don't do this. This is supposed to be semi-controversial. I mean, frankly, it's becoming difficult to be on this board. Every week, there's more and more restrictions.
I will be sending a detailed email to all of you about this specific issue following tonight's meeting, so there'll be plenty of information in there about the legal authority for it.
Okay. Do we need to talk about my situation or whatever, because you were saying elections, all that stuff?
Right, so next month, if we have a full group here, we'd like to go into elections here. That typically happens once a year, and it's been over a year since we do an election for the chair and vice chair. So just putting that out there that we'd like to go into elections here next month.
Okay.
As the meeting starts.
Okay, any other thoughts before, I guess we can't have any, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Stephen, I got one here first, so you can be second.
I'll second.
Any oppose or approve, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we're adjourned. See you guys next month.
Thank you all.
Recording stopped.
Can we have pleasantries now? No pleasantries. No pleasantries. Okay.
Have a good night, Barb.
Barb.
I wasn't expecting to have a picture of Andrew's car in the parking lot, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.